Welcome to Red Shirts Remastered for, I guess, our very first recorded Rambling Red Shirts episode here, right? It's a little bit different, right? You actually see me on camera here. There's Patrick
This
there,
is so
uh,
weird. We actually
right?
see you.
I know, right? And so,
This is
yeah,
not typical.
I know, right? Just, not gonna go into anything behind the scenes, but, there's
Mm.
complications as to why we're not streaming this. But the
Yep.
show must go on. So here we are to continue doing what we can do, and
Mm.
we have plenty of stuff to talk about as per usual with these episodes. And let's just go
Yep.
right into this episode with our picks of the week as we always do, right? Unless there's anything else you want to mention at the
Real
forefront.
quick shout out. We're gonna give a big shout out to our missing fellow red shirts, Chris. He's
Oh,
been
there we
going through
go.
some health stuff the last week or so. So
Absolutely.
huge shout out to Chris. Hope you get feeling better soon, brother. We hope to have you back on the next episode, and also Geo.
Absolutely.
So I hope Geo's doing well and health as well up there in
Absolutely.
Canada. Dude, it's getting cold up in the Great Lakes region and in the Midwest, man. The cold snap's coming.
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing, winter is coming quick. So if anything, I'm just like holding out hope for Geo because he's going to
Yeah.
be the one that's going to get cold first.
Yeah. I for sure. I mean, that's how it
It's
is when
definitely
you're
been
all the
getting
way
colder
up
overnights,
here.
man. You go out in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
you can feel how cold it is. It's been dropping down into the 40s and 50s. So I don't even want to think
Yeah.
how cold it's getting up there in Canada land.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love you, Geo.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess big shout out too to the whole charity, right? We were supposed to have a whole
Yeah,
charity
yeah,
week. We're recording this on a weekend, so it was meant to be last weekend that we're supposed to have
yeah.
a huge charity event, and
A
just
little
there's just been a
sad,
lot
but
of
yeah,
health complications to where that wasn't able
yeah,
to happen. But the link is still open for now
it
until the
is,
end
and
of
it
the
will be in the
month. So
description.
even though, yes, go down below, check it out, and yeah, uh,
Share it
please
with your
support
friends,
it. Even
please.
though, absolutely, be sure to
Definitely.
share it around. Even if it's just $1 you can donate, please do it. Even though we aren't promoting it as we usually do, or we're wanting to, it's
Yeah,
still active and
still
it's still something
open.
very
Yep.
sincere that's very important to all of us here. And so, yeah, please
And
go
even if you can't donate,
share
please,
it.
please, please share the link on your
Absolutely.
social. Send it to your friends, send it to your family. Get the word out about FMF and AID and everything that goes into that because there's a lot of kids who really need a lot of help in the world right now. This is such a great charity, and not only is it just a charity we're supporting, Chris, our fellow redshirt, literally grew up with FMF. This is very near and dear to his heart, and he's actually part of the organization. 100% your money goes directly to the charity. It does not go to Chris and then Chris hands the money over. This goes directly into the charity. So you're not being scammed. There's nothing like that going on. You are directly helping these kids and it is so worth it. And for Chris to send these pictures of all these like Zoom calls and things he's done with the kids over the years and seeing the direct support going to these kids, dude, there is literally no better charity I think we could support. It's awesome. I'm really so glad of this red shirts team for stepping up and back in the green fellas days we really did it well back then too, so it's awesome. Spencer's been good support, I've been good support. Chris keeps pounding the drum on us every single week in September and February. He goes, guys, get it out there. We got to tell everybody and the fans, like, spread the word because that's what really matters in the end. And man, he was literally right. Spreading the word, I think, has helped raise more money for the charity than just all of us individually donating. So yeah, man,
Absolutely.
huge
Absolutely.
support.
Yep, yep, absolutely. But yeah, let's just
You
go
want to
ahead
jump
and
into
get
picks of
right
the
into
week?
the show.
Right.
Absolutely, right into the picks of the week. You want to go first for your pick of the week? What's your pick of the week?
I will go with my pick of the week, and I have a slightly small secondary pick I'll throw in on the end. My
Sure.
main one is just this past weekend, I got the pleasure of flying down with my girlfriend Kristen to Florida to attend my own brother's wedding. My younger baby brother, he got married to a Cajun girl from Louisiana. We love her to death, even though she is shorter than my mom. She has a massive personality that is bigger than anyone else in my family now. So we love her to death. So congratulations to Bradley and Gail on getting
Shout out.
married. We love you guys both. We had such a fun time down there. It was swelteringly hot and humid. Spencer, the level of humidity on the beach in Florida is insane. Kristen and I actually had to stop and get some strawberry drinks at a beachside bar. That's how hot it got. I think it was like
Nice.
$14 for two drinks. But you know what I
So,
said? It's Florida. We're on vacation. F it. Strawberry drinks.
it
Uh,
sounds like a fun time you had.
and I got to see my immediate family again. I hadn't seen them since I moved to Indiana back in January. So I got to see my mom, I got to see my dad, my other brother, and my sister-in-law. Dude, we had such a fun time. We ate way too much food the whole weekend. I pigged
Always how it
out.
goes.
I had such a good time. We kept the alcohol flowing all weekend. It was a blast. And then my secondary pick of the week, I have to mention this. Um, we actually lost our pet bearded dragon.
Sorry to hear.
Last Monday. Her name was Lizzie. She lived 5 years. She was an adorable, lovely little bearded dragon who just gave me and Kristen so much joy. And she was in this tank back here that's behind me on my set every single week of Rambling Red Shirts.
Hmm.
So she literally had my back every time we were recording an episode. So we're gonna miss her
It's
dearly. We sadly didn't get back in time before she passed away. So that was pretty tough on us, but I definitely had to mention that this week. So
it's
my girlfriend's over
yeah.
here off to the side, but she's sending her love. You can see her hand. But yeah, we're sending our bearded dragon some love. So I had to throw that in as a secondary pick of the week for
Yeah,
this week's episode.
any pet owner, no matter what kind of pet you have, it's always
Hmm.
it's just always one of those things you have to deal with, right?
Yep.
They always eventually go away. So,
Mhm. However, there's a
but
bright side to this, which is our leopard gecko, our other one we've been raising on the other side of the bedroom,
mhm.
has now officially been upgraded to her big sister's old
Nice,
tank. So
awesome.
we literally put her in there today, and she was looking around in absolute amazement. She goes, "Whoa, it's huge in here!"
Nice.
So she's loving it. We're glad we can give her that upgrade, even though it was
Mhm.
kind of not in the way we wanted, but that's okay.
Nice, nice. Well,
Her sister, Bearded Dragon, would have wanted her to have a cage upgrade. So
there you go. But
there we go.
anyway, yeah.
What's your pick of the week,
Uh,
man?
my pick of the week. Well,
Yeah, tell us.
I kind of want to go ahead and mention. I kind of had like something else I wanted to bring up too, in addition to my main one, and that was
Okay,
last Rambling Red Shirts. I wasn't here. It
that's
was
right. I keep
on the
forgetting
other
you weren't
three.
here.
I wasn't there because I was off at a concert checking out Guns N' Roses. I had a fantastic time there, and so I just want to highlight that. I had such a fun night there.
We were so jealous. We were looking through your pictures you were sending on the Discord, and we were like, "Bro, like we can clearly see Slash on stage. This is amazing." It's like we wish we could be there at Rep Arena with you because that
I've been told I should
looks so
cosplay as
cool.
Slash. People don't. I think I could pull it off here. But
I think
anyway,
you should do that next Lexington Comic Con. I would, and I'll dress up as Axl Rose.
I don't know if that's the place to do it, but I like the idea. But anyway, yeah. So, but my main pick of the week is last week. It was specifically weekend. It was Batman Day. When we were
That's
supposed to be doing
right.
that charity,
That is right. I forgot all
on
about that.
September 16th, and
Yeah.
in a lot of the major movie chains, they were playing the Dark Knight trilogy. And originally, my plans, no matter what, was to just go see The Dark Knight. But because of the cancellations of the charity, I went, you know what? Let's go see the whole trilogy in theater.
Whoa! I
So,
didn't even think of that. You literally went
so
and did that?
I went and I saw the whole trilogy.
Oh my god.
And for anybody that doesn't know, The Dark Knight is my favorite comic book movie. And
It
seeing that
is.
on the big screen, I absolutely loved it. Seeing that on the big screen, and I've actually never
With
watched the
surround
whole
sound?
trilogy.
With all
Yes,
that surround sound and
it
bass
was
and
great.
music?
It was absolutely amazing. I mean, just The Dark Knight. It still holds up to be my favorite comic book movie. I absolutely love it. I think it's like the
Yeah.
best story that we have on screen of just Batman and Joker just going at it.
Yeah.
Right, my favorite hero and villain going at it, and so that's the biggest reason why I love it. But anyway, shout out to Dark Knight trilogy, Dark Knight
Hell
specifically.
yeah.
Also very weird, kind of like I've never seen the whole trilogy back to back, and so like I never realized how weird the timeline of that trilogy is until after I saw it all back to back, and I'm like, that's a really weird timeline these movies have.
But they're still
It's
very
weird
well beloved,
because
regardless.
yeah, it's really I find it weird because it's like the time gap between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight is only like a year, and then it skips 8 years to The Dark Knight Rises.
Wow.
It's weird, but anyway, besides the point,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed my Batman Day,
Yeah.
watching through what's regarded as one of the best comic book trilogies, and really
And
enjoyed revisiting a lot of this.
yeah. I have a confession to make to our audience. This is something Spencer knows, but I've never said this publicly. I've only seen Batman Begins, and Spencer gives me so much shit, like just about every other week, of why haven't you finished the trilogy yet? It's been like what, 15 years?
Yeah, this
So,
year was the Dark Knight's 15th anniversary.
I am going to try my very very best now that I have some options on acquiring said movies at a reduced rate, and I have ways of getting the movies a lot at a discounted rate now, whether it's Blu-ray or DVD. I'm gonna try to commit to finish. I'm gonna get all three movies and finish the entire trilogy
There you go.
this year
Do it.
before the end of the year.
Do
I
it.
want to do it this
Do it.
fall. We're just gonna knock it out. Right now,
Do it.
budget's a little tight, but we're gonna make it happen.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
maybe if Kristen's into it, maybe I can convince her to watch Batman with me.
Anyway. Yeah, that was my pick of the week, some good old Batman. But all right,
Great pick, man. A great
let's get
story too. Like that's something you can tell everybody about for years. Is I got to see the trilogy back to back in a theater.
I wish more trilogies would do that, It's fantastic. But yeah,
I'm sure
anyway,
you
let's go
wouldn't
ahead
say
and
that
dive
about the
in.
sequel trilogy, though.
Let's go ahead and dive
You'd be like,
into these
no,
news stories
no.
we have.
Yeah,
We
let's do
have
it.
uh we have lots of fun stuff to talk about here, so let's go ahead and bring up this
Kick it off
first
with a
one here
downer.
with a downer. It's kind of interesting because it's like this story kind of just wrapped up, and I was and
Yeah,
wanted
it
to
did.
talk about it earlier, but let's just go ahead and get right into this.
Yep.
So we're talking about Unity had this big sort of controversy that
Mhm.
happened over the past couple weeks. They announced this big price change. Specifically, you can see the price change of it right here. And
Yeah, right there.
so they were talking about all these different revenue thresholds, and if you go, depending on uh, how much installs, how many installs your game has, you'd be charged per install. And this affects a lot of majority indie developers because that's what
Yep.
mainly indie developers use is Unity, right?
Yep.
And so this caused huge lashback because for anyone that doesn't know, Unity's been
Hmm.
really they've been kind of going haven't been doing so financially well, and
Yep.
so it was really uh
Yeah.
uh sorry about that. But yeah, Unity just hasn't been doing well, so this is kind of like their desperate attempt to be like, hey, we
Yeah.
uh we need something, we need to
And
do something here,
I don't
and
think it's so
then
much about the pricing as it is the way they went about doing it. That's really
that's also true
pissed a lot of
too.
people off. Yeah.
That's really true too.
The pricing is a little odd, and how they were running their numbers and the stuff in the back end it's just really vague. The way they installed, if you uninstall and then
Mhm.
reinstall, dude, it's very controversial. Regardless of either side you stand on this is going to be
Yeah.
very hot button, like no doubt
Oh
about it.
yeah, yeah.
The way the board went about this is just it's I think
Yeah, it was
a
terrible
majority of
too because
gamers would say it's just not a good business move in general.
yeah,
In
if
terms
you
of
look
like
at this,
making a pricing move, it makes sense for them to they should charge studios. I agree. But the way they went about doing this is just it's
yeah,
not a
it
good
was really
look,
bad.
man.
It was
They've
really
hurt their
bad, and you got
reputation.
all sorts of. It really did. But long story short, though, uh, they reverted back to it. Literally, reverted and changed their policies since last talking about it in this update that they gave here, literally the day
Yep.
before we're recording this, to where now they're There's several different things here to where now they're
Yeah.
increasing the cap for how much you can make with Unity Personal, because the way how Unity works is if you make so
Yep.
much off of a game, you're then having to require to upgrade to a more premium version, and blah blah blah.
Different tiers, basically.
Different tiers, right? Because there's three different tiers. There's
Yep.
Unity Personal. I don't remember what the others are called. Unity Pro and
Let
Unity
me see.
Enterprise, right?
Unity Pro and then
Pro and
Enterprise.
Enterprise.
Enterprise. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yep.
so they're increasing now the cap with Unity Personal, and then several other different changes here. And but long story short, though, is they heard the community, they heard all the backlash. That's and their whole dumb pricing and everything here is not happening anymore. So
And it sounded like they tried to rush it out and kind of slide it under the rug, like we're just gonna
mhm.
make it happen and hope nobody notices, and everybody
It's
noticed.
I think that's a very good segue too, because to something
Yeah.
else I was wanting to bring up about this is the fact that who's in charge of Unity now was also, I
Mhm.
believe, a CEO. I don't know specifically if it is a CEO, but is a really higher up involved in EA. Like we're talking about like their
Yeah.
really bad loot box days, right? And it's really interesting because it's
Like the FIFA and
there's this
Battlefront 2
other
loot box days.
yes, yes. And let me see here. There's a
Wow.
comment here from him that I don't remember exactly what it is, but he essentially called everybody, if you don't include monetization in your game, you're essentially a massive idiot. Is essentially what he says.
Well, I can I can kind of
Okay.
see where he's coming from. There, with him being a businessman, there definitely needs to be some sort of monetization system because in a lot of modern gaming, this is ultimately a business. We're paying into it, but it is a business.
The way he said this quote was like, if you don't make your game with monetization in
Yeah,
mind,
it
you're an
came off
absolute
smug.
idiot. Right? And I'm
He's
like,
coming at it
hold
from a
on,
business
that's
perspective, but he's not. He's just not thinking about the way it's coming out. It just doesn't sound.
yeah, that makes more
Yeah.
sense.
So.
But yeah, I mean,
'Cause
essentially, though, at the end of
seriously,
the
if you're
day,
if you're thinking from a business mindset, he's not wrong.
that's true. That's true. I mean, I
But the
suppose
way
so.
he's going about saying is just like,
Yeah.
yo, you know. I totally get that. In
Yeah.
the world of business, you do have to be a little cutthroat. I can, and he's a CEO, so
Yes. Yes.
trust me, he is not the only CEO that speaks like this. It's pretty much just about every
Hmm.
major CEO in the world is talking like
Yeah.
this. Because at the end of the day, they're,
That's a fair point.
and including him, he's withholding to his shareholders of his company that are buying
Hmm.
shares of his company. So he's thinking of this like he's not thinking about this necessarily. You know,
Hmm.
we don't know internally like what he personally thinks. He's thinking,
No.
I gotta make them money. Like
Yeah.
they're the ones who are helping, make this thing happen. Because without them, Unity wouldn't exist.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
I totally get it. It is a business at the end of the day, but yeah, you just the way you say
something
this
else.
stuff is gonna last a long time, and
And
it might
another
it might
big
be a
thing with
small
all
little bit
this,
of
though.
time, but it could go a long way. Like
Here's the
the
thing, though.
stuff he's saying
What
could
they've
last
what they've already done, though, is they've already destroyed a lot of their reputation.
instantly, like
and
that.
and instantly, right? And so a lot of devs are happy to see. So okay, let's backtrack. Um, to where with the moment this happened, so many devs were like, "Crap, this is
Yeah,
terrible." But we've already made so much of our game in Unity, we can't back out of it. It's essentially pressing the restart button on however many years at work, right? Because how gaming works nowadays
Vic,
is even though it's so accessible to make a game to anybody, it could take a lot of time. It just takes time. That's the problem.
and
It takes a
generally
lot of time.
5 to 9 years.
We're getting yeah, that's a good point because we're getting now to the standard of where it can take at least half a decade to make a game for at least a AAA
Just
company,
a
right?
base game at a AAA level, a base game
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
with a average team. It doesn't even have to be a large team, just an
Right.
average size team.
And
Minimum
so
5 years.
and so but anyway, so many different indie studios came out and they were like, okay, we're still making this game in Unity, but now we're going to be looking for another engine. And a lot of them, of course, as a
Hmm.
got reverted, are like, really happy that that's
Yeah,
not happening anymore. But that doesn't change the
yeah.
fact that that reputation is destroyed, and they're now
Mm.
going off to find other alternatives. However, something that really
Dude,
stood out to me that I really like is the fact that I just wanted to share this here
Hmm.
is the dev team or maybe it's the publisher, I don't exactly remember, behind
Hmm.
Terraria, which is, you know, one of the biggest indie successes ever,
Of all time.
is
Even if I've never played
is
it, yeah, I can admit it's one of the biggest of all time.
they're donating 100 grand to two new game engines that's been in development,
What?
and they've updated this too to where they said that they're gonna do a third one as well that a lot of people were asking for. So they're donating the
Wow.
100 grand to the Godot game engine, FNA. There's one other that a lot of people were asking about for them to support. I don't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but they also said that they're doing that. And then what they're going to be doing is they're going to be sponsoring each of these projects with $1,000 a month.
Hmm.
And so I just love to see such a big, um, such a big uh, company here as far as indie games
That's
go,
an
right?
investment. Not a bit,
That's
not
a
a giant
huge
investment,
investment.
but it's a
It's
start.
I think it's great to see this, just because it's
Yeah.
great to see a bigger figure helping something smaller, especially in the
Hmm.
light of all the crap that happened with Unity, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And so that's just
And
something
this
I
is
just want to
mainly for
give a
the
shout out
indie
to.
side more than anything, really.
Yes, indie side. That's the other thing too. Is like no big games really use it, Unity. I feel like because everything uses their
Some
own engines
some
nowadays.
do. Yeah, they either use their own engines or they're using some version of. And these days, it's probably Unreal Engine 5. That's the most popular one.
That's the big thing now, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
at the
And
end of the day,
Epic is just rolling in. They're just backing in the
yes,
money truck.
yes,
They're like,
they are.
all right, we're just gonna dump the money right here at your studio in Cary, North Carolina. Just back it in.
Yeah,
Beep beep.
yeah. A lot of
And they'll
times
just turn around
it's
and put it to Fortnite. It's just
yeah.
gonna be right back to
There you
Fortnite.
go. A lot of times, when a dev looks into making what kind of game they are making, you have to figure out what kind of game you want, because then that can help inform, hey,
Yeah.
what kind of engine do you want to use, right? And so this story personally kind of stuck out to me a little more because it's uh for anybody that doesn't know, I'm right now aiming to get a computer science degree, and I'm actively learning how to program more on a daily basis. And something I've been thinking about doing, and once I get a little more free time, is I think it'd be a lot of fun to try to program my own like miniature sized game. And what I was looking at using originally is Unity. Um, and so
Yeah.
seeing Unity go under fire like this, I'm like, holy crap! This like kind of made me like almost question it, even though it wouldn't directly affect me in that way. You know what I mean? Just because of how crappy this whole situation was.
Yeah, especially when like there is a lot of,
Hmm.
over a decade worth of love for the Unity engine.
Yeah.
It's Unity has made a lot of awesome games that are, in the indie market. There's tons out there that you've probably downloaded and tried on your computer at some point that say powered by Unity. You go, "All right, cool." Nowadays it's like if you saw powered by Unity in 2023, you might go, "Ooh, good luck to that studio. They're going to be paying residuals back." Especially if
Well,
it's a good.
not have to
I
anymore.
feel so bad
So
for these guys. I feel so bad for these indie guys who are like just like you said, they're stuck. They're almost done with the project, and they're just like, "F it, we'll take the loss." Imagine if their game is so good and so popular, now they're going to be stuck having to pay Unity back.
hmm
I mean, at least they'll have good publicity for their game. They'll be like, "Hey, the game's so good. If they come out with a sequel on a different engine, they can be like, all right,
hmm
well, it's on a different engine, but at least like we made it so popular we can make our money back at least maybe." So
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
that'll
a
always
crappy
kind of stick in the
situation.
back of their mind as we're gonna end up still paying them back for years and years and
Yeah.
years and more years, and it's like,
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah. Anyway, let's move on from one crappy story to another crappy story, especially for Microsoft. Where
All right, it's
we've had
official.
this whole we've had all this stuff in between Activision and Blizzard trying to be acquired by Microsoft, and through that there's all this whole stuff dealing with the FTC and the court and all that, right? And Microsoft got a lot of documents leaked And so let's talk about some of these leaks. And
Well,
there's
we
a
have to
few
start.
big
We have to
ones.
start with the first part. The first part
Okay.
is
Okay.
we have multiple parties doing the one thing we all expected them to do. Spencer,
What's
you
that?
got Phil Spencer in one corner, you got the FTC in the other corner, and they're just doing this. You did it.
What
You
did
did
what?
it.
We'll get to that later. We'll get to that near the end. I want to talk about it at the end because it's very interesting to see who came about
Uh,
this, how this came about, right? Because it's kind of one of those things where it's kind of like both of their
so
faults. I mean,
it's
you know what?
so
Here, let's go ahead and
wild.
talk.
It's
Let's just go ahead and
so
talk about it, right?
wild.
It's really
Just jump
weird
in. It's
because in
great.
this, it's weird though
We
because
love this.
it's the judge came out since, and it was saying, okay, parties in the court case were told that the version of exhibits provided contained non-public information, right? They were told.
It's
Um,
private company info. Yeah.
and that they also needed to simultaneously file a written certification signed by blah blah blah. But anyway, point is, this was all these documents were uploaded to a private place where it was supposed to be uh all confidential, right?
All confidential for the courtroom.
However,
Yes.
they were told to, from my
For the
understanding of it,
FTC, I
they were
think. Yeah.
told to, uh, I think they were told to like blank it out in a particular way, which I don't think they did.
Kind of like they would do in a government, like if they do
Right.
a declassifies when they go back and declassify government documents, they can strike through with black ink like certain parts that they can't release to the public. They'll release certain parts, but they'll say, "Sorry, we still got to leave this black for now. We're sorry, but that's just in defense of
Yeah.
whatever, whether it's protecting company secrets or protecting homeland security or whatever." Yeah, so
Hmm.
same idea.
Yeah, it's really
It's
weird
just for
because
business
it's.
practices because it
Hmm.
could be a
Yeah.
competitive business strategy. They don't want that leaking out to like say Sony because then
Right.
Sony can turn
Exactly.
around and use that against them down the road. So
That's the
that's why they do
biggest
that.
thing. This is that I think that's what's going to hurt them the most here. Is now Sony explicitly knows, right? And the market knows
And
too,
now
right?
and
Here's
now
the thing,
Nintendo,
though.
if Nintendo didn't
Well,
know, now they do know that Phil Spencer
yeah.
considered
This
buying them
is
out.
this
They're sitting
is
there in Tokyo
this is a
going, "Wait, what?"
yeah, this is such a bad deal for Microsoft because of it's always planned very strategically when something's announced, when's the release date announced, right? At the end of the day, it's all business. When's the best time to do this, right? When's the best time to reveal this and blah blah blah, right? And the biggest thing that hurts them here in this case is the fact of a mid-gen console, which is
It would be a
that's kind
mid-generation.
of weird.
It's a mid-generation all digital re-release. This is a weird one.
It
And we
Look at
don't
the
know if it's
shape.
still in,
This
we
is
don't know if it's
such a
still in
stupid.
development or if it's because for all we know that could have just been a prototype because these
That's true.
documents are at
I mean,
least two to
suppose.
three. They're 2 to 3 years old. This whole project might have been scrapped like a year or two ago, and they might have moved on to
Who
something else
knows?
that's still in confidential. We
Who
don't know.
who who knows, right? At the end of the day, I must say though, if this
It's
mid-gen
a trash can.
console, let's I we can just agree a cylinder shape is so stupid, right? We can agree on this, right?
And
Like,
this wasn't Microsoft that did this first. It was Apple that did this first. I don't know if you remember several years back they released a Mac Mini. It was iMac Mini, and it was the
I
same
forgot
shape.
about that. Yeah,
Yes.
no, I
So
think
this
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 is
wasn't a
terrible
Microsoft
though.
first.
I think this is terrible though, right? Because
I
it's
just don't like
like,
that I just don't like that it's all digital. And how would you do
well,
that in a cylinder? It kind of reminds me of when they did
that's a good.
the
I don't
very first
understand why a
original
cylinder,
Xbox.
right?
They tried to pack it all into a giant X shape. It's like, how does that what?
It's weird, right? Because you consider a lot of
It's a
components to be
weird
more
one, yeah.
blocky than anything, right? So to fit it in there sounds stupid. The other thing too is just like the display of it.
Yeah,
Not everything, because here's the thing. I think both of these, both the PS5 and Series X, I think they look better standing up. However,
they
due to
do.
space,
I love them.
sometimes you have to put them to the side for better space. That's how mine
Yeah,
are.
even if you don't want
Just
to.
right, just because of how spacing works.
Yeah.
You can't exactly put this to the side, or else it's gonna roll off your
It's
entertainment
gonna
center.
roll. It's gonna roll.
It's just gonna
However,
roll off.
it's confirmed this is smaller. This is slightly smaller. It's got 2 terabytes of storage, and it's smaller. The thing that got me is if you've
Mhm.
ever picked up a Series X, and you know this because you have a Series X now.
Mhm.
And I did my research when I bought my Series X. The first thing you notice is this is a heavy ass console, because when they built the what is it, the heat shroud? It's like legit like titanium. It's a giant
PS5 is a
block of
little heavier.
metal. Yeah, the PS5's even heavier because they went the same sort of route with the
I
PS5. But yeah, the first time I picked
I
up my Series X, I'm like, damn. When they
I
said it's a fridge, they meant
s-
it's a fridge.
here's the problem. The other problem with them too, a little bit of a side tangent, is this a lot more annoying to carry around the PS5 than the
It
Xbox as
is
well.
just because of the weird shape.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it, especially. Um, but anyway, that's the side point. Yeah, and any
Plus,
other
you
thoughts
don't
on
want to
this weird
confuse it
looking
for your
console?
fan.
Any other little thoughts on this weird
Um,
looking console here?
I think it's a good alternative for the Series S people if the Series S people are looking for an
Yeah,
upgrade.
I
If
feel
this is
like
still
that's
in
the big
development,
thing is.
this is great for them, especially if it's priced around like I'd say 400. But with that 2 terabyte
Well, it
storage, I think
depends.
that's gonna. I think the 2 terabytes is gonna push it up to
Well, let's see
500.
here.
I really
It's
do.
500 here. It depends. We get more internal storage, it says here. We have a
Yeah,
USB-C port on the front, which is interesting.
that's
Uh,
that's just modernization because everything's moving to the
yeah,
USB-C standard.
thank God. Uh, well, did it say anything about anything else as far as computer? Reduce PSU power,
Yeah,
decrease
it's a little bit more efficient, but it's basically
but it doesn't seem anything different
nothing
hardware wise
performance,
though, other
nothing
than the
hardware
internal
performance
storage.
wise. Yeah,
Okay,
it's just
that's what
storage.
I was double checking about that. I
But
mean,
I just
storage is
don't
nice
see this.
enough, right?
I don't see this being a major push. The storage is awesome, dude. Especially with these games getting bigger and
Yeah,
bigger, you don't realize 2 terabytes goes a mile. That is good for the people who are all digital. I
that's
really
doubling
mean
it.
that. It is
Yeah,
doubling it.
that's great.
And even if you're, like me, and you buy a lot of physical, a lot of these games, you still buy physical disc. It doesn't matter. Most of the download is still digital at the end of the day.
Dude, it's so stupid,
So
right? Like the
it's
what was it?
yeah,
Modern Warfare 2. You buy the disc, and literally
a disc,
on
and
the
there's
disc is
hardly
like
anything
70
on the disc.
kilobytes or
There's
something
hardly anything on the
ridiculously
disc, and
small
everything
like
else.
that. Yeah, it's so stupid.
If the
But
game ever gets delisted one day, you'll never be able to play it unless you have like a PC version
right,
or something. It's crazy.
it's stupid. All right. Anyway, related to the consoles and stuff, we also got a
Yeah.
look at a controller.
It was the new Elite. They're talking about there was gonna be a new Elite controller coming. Yep.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's just that. I think that's pretty expected. That's generally
well, the
every
big
two
thing
two to
with
3 years they drop a
this
new Elite.
the big thing with this is they'd be integrating something that PlayStation already has on their controllers, and
Mhm.
that's this whole new haptic feedback technology that they've been messing
Which
with.
we've been wanting on Xbox for a long time, and I think they'll standardize that either late this generation or next console generation because this is
We'll
something
see.
Microsoft has needed for a long time.
That's a very good question, right? Because it's like with the first time I heard about this, I was like, okay, great, they're catching up
Hmm.
to Sony now with what they have on their controller. Because I
Yeah,
found the PS5 controller to be fantastic, right? Just
I've
with all
heard
the
nothing but
technology it
great
has
things about
inside,
the.
it's a
Yeah,
great controller. It's so much better than essentially a copy and paste repasted Xbox controller of what we have this
and
generation,
it's a step up
essentially.
from the PS4 controller. Like,
Huge,
everybody who had
right?
the PS4 and went to the
The
PS5 says
the
PS5 is like,
only
whoa, this is a
the
new
only
level.
the only complaint that I might have with the PlayStation controller is
Mhm.
it's a little heavier, but like that's because of it's all the
Yeah.
technology in it, right? And so, but
Is there a better
uh
battery in it? Does it tend to last longer? Have you noticed?
compared to PS4,
Yeah. Is
I
that
didn't
might make up for
notice a
some of
big
the weight?
difference. I didn't notice a big difference, but
Okay.
that's a good question. It's also been a
You think it's
long
more
time
like
since I've also
more of the
played on a
motors
PS4
and stuff
controller.
for haptic feedback? Maybe that's why it's a little heavier.
That's probably it. Like they just pack in a lot of control. You have to also keep in mind,
Yeah.
PlayStation also has like all this like sensor technology in it too, like for its little
Yeah,
touchpad at the
it does.
top too. So the Xbox doesn't use at all.
Which we have something we don't use at all. We're more social media based on our controller, where it's more about sharing your
Mhm.
gameplay than it is about
So
feedback.
yeah.
Now we
Mhm.
we still have triggers. Don't get me wrong. We still got
We still
vibrating
have
triggers and
triggers.
motors.
There you go.
But other than that, Team Xbox is lagging a little bit
So
behind
the
Sony.
the
But that's
only
okay. Each company can do their own thing. That's fine. Nothing
so
wrong with
my
that.
only thing is that I want to bring up about this controller before we move on to the next big thing
Yeah.
about this is haptic feedback. I feel like it's kind of too late for this generation to really use that, because the thing with haptic feedback is, in order
Mhm.
for that to be fully used, you have to
But have to have the
you
software
have
in the
to
back end
program,
too.
for it,
Yeah.
right? Not
Exactly.
specifically like for the games, right? Like when would that haptic feedback be used? What
That's
part of it,
true,
right?
because you would have to do it like
And
now for games before the end of the generation. You would have to like have it integrated roughly
well, that's the other thing
between
too,
now and
is
the
like
next year.
think about also all the different games that's on
Hmm.
PlayStation that has it. Does that
Yeah,
mean, they'd have to go back to all the Xbox versions to add it, or they just say, okay, forget about it, right?
I
And at
think
this
they would
point, I
just say
feel like,
forget about it, and then
right,
if
and
they
that's
choose it,
that's that's the point. Is I
if the
feel like it'd
studio
be
wants
too
to
late
add
at
it in,
this
I think
point
that's
because
on
of
a
that.
studio by studio basis.
Yeah,
Like
but
if
I'm saying,
if they wanted to do like Halo, I could see all the Halo games getting that. I think Microsoft would put the time and energy into Halo.
oh,
They
absolutely,
they go back to Combat Evolved and they would add it in just to give
absolutely.
that next
I'm
level
saying,
of. I could
I'm
see them
saying
doing that.
more of the third-party games though. It's like I know Microsoft would
That's
be like, oh
where
yeah,
it's
let's go
gonna
add it to
be
it.
hit or
I
miss
I
because
feel
some of
like
the
I feel
studios will
like
want it, some just won't.
here's the thing: is let's be real here, all right? This generation is already like about halfway over, which is insane to think about. And
However, do not forget we started with COVID, and
that's
everybody I
true
keep
too.
hearing from the industry is saying this industry is gonna lag a little bit extra because of the COVID at the
That
beginning.
can make sense.
So,
That can make sense. Even
however,
then, it's
that does
we're
not mean
about to reach the
technology
midpoint.
technology did not stop. Technology has
Okay,
continued to
let's
advance.
still say this though. Whenever this
So,
controller comes out, it would be at least halfway through this generation, which I feel
definitely.
like is
Yeah.
too late to implement such a huge feature for it to be really useful.
They can do it, but like you were saying, it's only going to be on a select library of the games for the
Right.
second half of the generation.
Yeah.
However,
But
at the start of the next generation, if they want to have it fully integrated like PlayStation does now,
yes, and I think
that is
that's
100%. That's the goal. I think they're aiming for. Phil Spencer wants to aim for that for the
yes,
next Xbox,
yes.
whatever they decide to call the next
Hmm.
console. Because let's be honest, Xbox is terrible at naming their consoles. It's just we love the consoles, we love the hardware, but the naming game has been pretty hit or miss.
All right. Anyway, you ready
Oh,
to talk about these the next
all
part
right.
of this leak with all the
I
different
think we
The
are
Bethesda
done
stuff?
talking about the back end of the Xbox fridge.
Back into the Xbox fridge. Let's talk about these game leaks specifically, because
Yeah, we
Bethesda
got to talk
got a
about the
lot
game
leaked.
leaks.
Bethesda got
That
stuff leaked here. Here's the full
poor
list on it
Todd
here.
Howard.
Poor Todd Howard. Um, which is really interesting, and I feel like this is a pre-COVID list that we have.
It sounds
I
like
feel
because even like you're looking at the dates, and the dates sound like it sounded like wishful thinking. Is the way I've looked at it.
that's what I think COVID had a big deal to do with this. Because if you look at these dates, it says fiscal year 21, Starfield, Redfall,
Hmm.
Doom Eternal
21, and it's
DLC,
so take all of these and just add
Ghostwire
plus 2
Tokyo.
years. Push them back 2
Well, yeah, it's
years.
like some of these happened, some of these didn't, right? Ghostwire Tokyo happened, right? But I think that
Happened.
was
Yep.
much farther along in development than something like Starfield and Redfall
Yeah,
were.
that's
It's like
right.
we
It
just
was
got
really
this year,
farther along. Yeah.
And then it also lists fiscal year 22 for the Indiana Jones game that we're
That'll be
hearing
next year.
murmurs about coming
Soon,
next
yeah.
year now, right? So you're right,
Yeah,
another
which makes
pushback for
sense.
2 years.
Yep.
What's also really interesting here, though, is we have what year is it here? Fiscal year 22, Oblivion
Which would be
remaster that we've heard murmurings about,
we've been
right?
hearing about this one for about the last year.
We've been hearing a bit about this one, right? There's like a big rumor about it. I want to say
Which
in the
is
past
funny
few
because
weeks, few months too,
I just
couple months.
started Oblivion like a little over a month ago because of Game Pass. I'm finally getting into Elder Scrolls.
I really
It's
want to
like
get into it.
perfect timing.
This kind of makes me decide like, do I wait to get into Oblivion?
You
You know what I mean?
wait? Do
And
you
so
just go ahead and do it
go ahead and
now and just
right,
play it again later?
right. It's like who knows, right?
Yeah.
The big question is how much of a remaster is this, right? Is it something touched
It,
up
it'll
like
probably be like
this?
Skyfall. It'll be Skyfall. They'll remaster it. They'll touch up the graphics.
It
It
just
seems
depends,
the
right?
standard they're going for.
I mean,
They'll go
that's
back and do a graphic
it
refresh. That's
depends.
all
It
it's
just
gonna be.
depends how much it is, right? And notice it
Yeah.
says remaster, not remake, so they're just touching up the game.
It'll be
Question is, how much are they touching up, right?
it'll be $70.
$70. Also, notice speaking of remasters, there's also Fallout 3 remaster
This
listed here as
is
well.
huge, sir. This
I
is
think they're both
huge.
big.
For a lot of people, this was the very first open world first person Fallout game. And this was a dynasty on
Arguably the best
the
Fallout
Xbox
game, right?
360. And
That's the
this
other
was
big thing too.
way before the buyout, but this is probably one of the games that started Microsoft even considering doing a Bethesda buyout because the player base for this game was massive. I remember going to high school classes and all of my classmates talking about Fallout 3 and where they were at, how their gameplay was progressing.
Hmm.
Dude, this was the talk of the town back in the late 2000s. Like Fallout 3
Yeah.
was the big ticket,
Hmm.
especially this was the same era around like Halo 3.
Yeah.
So, pretty big heavy hitters for the 360. And of course, it was set in
Yeah.
Washington D.C. It was the nation's capital, so a lot of American players were loving it because they literally got to be right in the capital, right in the middle of everything. And then, of course, the storyline was awesome. You could do all sorts of silly shit in usual Bethesda fashion, very moddable. So,
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's what's
and
great
this
about Bethesda. But
fans
yeah.
have been clamoring for this game to be remastered because it's been
Yeah,
around
yeah.
for so long and it's so beloved.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's cool to see that remaster because that's one of the two biggest Fallout games. I feel like it's often debated: is it Fallout 3 or New Vegas is the best, right?
New Vegas is generally debated as the number one contender. That's
I
from
want to
what
say
I've
3
seen
though.
over the
So
last plus 10 years. Three is, I would say three is probably loved just for in general for the storyline and some of the stuff you can do in the game. I think New Vegas is more beloved for gameplay, honestly.
that's fair enough. I think that's a very fair take. I still need to play through both of them, but Fallout's never been my favorite universe.
I
But
watched my brother play New Vegas many, many years ago. There's so much funny shit in New Vegas that you'll laugh your head off. It's
I do
so
want to check out
funny.
New Vegas. I've played some of 3. I have not played some of New Vegas, so I
I
need to
played
play New
three a
Vegas.
long time ago, very, very little of it. I need to go back and restart it. But if this is coming out, I might just wait for the remake on this one because
Yeah,
I would be okay waiting for
fair
that.
enough.
And I know my brother will play it. Heck yeah.
Oh, oh. Yeah, there's also a couple other games that they mention here that I think is a big note. The one that
Hmm.
got me perked up the most when looking at this list
Yep.
is the mention of Doom Year Zero.
Which is wild, and it makes you wonder: is that still coming?
It's really interesting, right? Because it's
It
like
sounds like a Doom prequel, right?
yes. Well, it's good you say that.
So,
So, because with if you've played Doom 2016,
not yet.
it's
But
set
I'll get
up
to
like
it.
a very traditional sort of like Doom remake, as you kind of, or not remake, but like a reboot. That's the word I
Like
was
a
looking for.
reboot, yeah, rebooting the franchise.
It's a very typical sort of like Doom story of what you'd expect from Doom. That's really touched up and felt great. Like it's a fantastic game. But then Doom Eternal went another mile, and they added a whole bunch of lore to this new Doom universe, and they hinted at a lot of things that happened in the past. And your character kind of just wakes up and kind of gets into it in Doom 2016. And so seeing a Doom Year Zero to go back and explore more of what was set up and not
And
just
it'll
being
make you
thrown
want to
into
play the
more of
other
this
two again too.
aftermath. That's very true. I definitely gonna happen
Yeah.
with me. But seeing this being like, oh, they're going back, because here's the thing: is like nobody knew what id Software is gonna do, because in
You never know what they're gonna do.
Doom Eternal was very obviously said to be like, oh, okay, this is the end of this chapter of Doom. Oh, never
Yep.
mind, they're going back and doing a prequel now, which I think is very exciting because I really enjoyed the Doom story that we've gotten with
Yeah.
Eternal in 2016, and so seeing them go back even more to experience all that is really and tell that story. I think it's going to
Yeah,
be awesome for us players. And also they
and it's
mention and
perfect.
DLC, so they're doing more. They're going to support it for a bit too, like they did with Eternal. Eternal had a couple DLC
Mhm.
packs, which are pretty fun for what they were. And so hopefully they learn more from what they did well and what they didn't do
Yeah,
so well with the Eternal DLC, and also carry on with that too.
and
And
I
so
I really
let's go
hope,
on.
because now that Bethesda's partnered with
Hmm.
Microsoft, I hope they go the Halo route. Because everybody I talked to who's played the Halo games, when they went from what was it, ODST, and then they went back to Reach, and
Hmm.
Reach shows some stuff that leads up to the original Combat Evolved. Everyone says, and you talk to my buddy Trevor Whiskey Wires, as you know him,
Hmm.
Spencer. You talk to him. Reach is his favorite Halo game, and he praises the storyline of that being the ultimate prequel game.
There's a
If
lot to
they
it.
can take the lore of what they did with that, and they always keep mentioning Reach, 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 Reach through the first three games. When you finally get to Reach, that game, it, dude, it I've known Whiskey since I was a kid, and he said that game brought him to tears. And to the point, he loves that game so much, he literally got the Reach tattoo on his arm. It's
Nice.
permanently inked on the man.
Yeah,
So
I'll.
I hope they're
Uh,
talking to the team that did Halo, and because if they can do that with the lore, dude, it's gonna make Doom Eternal that much better.
yeah. The
So
yeah, I'll say not giving any spoilers, even though the game is like over 3 years old at this point.
yeah,
There was a very specific moment in Doom Eternal to where it's like, holy crap! Like what they're doing to kind of like set up something that happened previously. That to me felt like, oh, they're trying to tie in like the older Doom games maybe or something. I don't know, but it was really cool because I was like, holy crap! How they did this was really cool. It got me really invested in the story, and you could tell that they really expand the universe in Eternal, and it's a very exciting universe that they were just setting up more and more. So seeing this is what its next project is I think very exciting.
I'm telling you, man, if they got good writers writing the story, this new iteration of the Doom games could go down as one of the
That's a good.
greatest game trilogies of all time.
I didn't think about that, but you're kind of right about that too, because it's like this is kind of the most kind of you need of like a really good story for a Doom game for a prequel to really come together really well, because they've been really building on this world, so they kind of need something more than your typical hey demons over there go shoot them, than kind of like 2016
Yep.
was, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Uh, Not saying 2016 didn't have a story. It was just a very basic Doom story. Kind of more of like what you got in the original Dooms compared to like what Eternal did when it started opening up the story more. But yeah. But yeah, there's a couple other sequels here
Any
as
other
well.
games?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a couple other sequels. There's a Ghostwire Tokyo sequel that's listed. A game that I want to
Oh.
play that I have not played. But interesting that's
Yeah,
getting
I
a
still need to
sequel.
play it. I was intrigued when I saw
I've
the
heard good
trailers for that
things.
game,
It
so
looks
I'll
pretty
I'll
good.
play the first one.
I'm definitely going to play it. It's on both PS Plus and Game Pass now, so I have plenty of
Yep.
options, and they had a big update and all that. But yeah, looking for that could be cool. And then Dishonored
Hmm.
3. Have you ever played any of those games?
I have not played the Dishonored games. It's always
Me
been kind of
neither.
a niche game, not for everybody.
I
Um,
started one, and it's one of those games that seemed more stealth based, and if something's more stealth based, it's typically not for me.
it's kind of like Assassin's Creed meets Thief in a lot of ways.
I haven't played Thief.
So,
I really like Assassin's Creed, but at the same time, Assassin's Creed you're given more of
mm.
like an option. Like for something being called Assassin's Creed, where you think you're being more assassins from the background, you
Stealthy.
don't have to be that stealthy.
Yeah, you don't. You can just be. You just run up somebody and just like slash them with a sword in the face, and then all of a sudden everybody's chasing you.
Exactly.
Assassin's Creed's just
Exactly.
wild. Right, was there anything
Uh,
else?
I think those are the big things. I don't think there's really
Okay.
much else. Like, there's a bunch of different sort of stats and I guess hopes of how of where they think the market's gonna go for them, right? But I think
But
that's the big stuff, right? We
it
got,
looks like this is a
especially for us
three year
consumers.
old document, so I who knows how
Yeah,
reliable it is at this point. A lot of
I
stuff's
think that's a very
changed.
good point. I mean,
It
I
was
think they
made
can
in the
give a very good indicator. Because I mean,
we
there's
get
the whole
all
point too.
agree that came out during
I
the
mean,
COVID era, so
because there's a that brings a good point too. Because it's like, I don't know how Ghostwire Tokyo did sales wise, but it's like Did it
It
do good
sounded
enough to
pretty
warrant a planned
successful.
sequel?
We'll have to look at the
I
sales
don't know.
numbers.
I
That's
don't know.
something we can maybe
We'll
talk
have to
about on
look
the
into
next
that.
episode.
Well, maybe we'll follow up on that for sure.
We'll dig in on that. So,
Oh, there
hey,
was one other detail that's not mentioned here in the document.
yeah, what's that?
Is that there's supposedly a Red Dead Redemption 2 next gen coming out.
I read that, and I'm like, really? It's not next
It's
gen
very interesting.
enough?
It's very no, I find it very
Not
interesting
HD
because
enough?
we had this whole crap happen to where they essentially just ported Red Dead Redemption to Switch and PlayStation,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's like I
Rockstar's
think it's
going
a
through a
great
weird
port.
situation.
I think it's a great port for Switch, right? For
Yeah,
what
it's
it
a good port
is.
for Switch. Yeah.
But for PlayStation, it's like you're porting a 360 game and making people pay. Was it $50 or was it a full
It was a
60?
dumb amount. It was a dumb amount of money. Yeah, it's stupid.
For an old game to where you can literally buy it on Xbox for like $20 or 30
It's
bucks or
literally
something like that.
Rockstar saying, "Hey, just print some money and hand it to us." That's all
While
that
you're
was.
waiting on GTA 6, here's some money. But anyway, next gen
Here,
Red
you
Dead
can play this old. You
Redemption
know this
2
old game you played? We want you to buy it again, and it looks
for
exactly the
full
same.
price. Yeah. But we'll see if they actually end up touching up on it all or anything. It could be cool.
Yeah,
We'll see.
yeah.
All right.
All right.
Let's get into a lot of gaming announcements, right? There's
Huge.
been a
We got a
lot
big
of
list
different.
here,
We got a lot of different announcements, right? We had a couple different big
and we got to
official
breeze
ones,
through
right? Not
these.
leaked here.
Yeah, these
Which
are
can
all
be good.
official. This isn't the fans hoping it shows up in a presentation. This is the presentation.
Here you go. We got several different games to show off here. We have
This first one's huge.
this first
This
one's
one's a
big,
big
right?
one.
We're
Yeah.
let's go ahead and just talk about this Nintendo Direct that happened last
Yeah.
week.
I would
I
say it
guess
was a
may have
pretty
actually been.
mid showcase.
I
Pretty
think
mid
that's a
for
very good
Nintendo.
way to put it, right? It's not one of their best, but not by far one of their worst. Because I
But we
feel
know
like
we're
if you
coming
had to
up on the end
rank,
of the generation, so this is just kind of expected.
I think this showcase, if you ranked it among this year's three Nintendo directs overall, I'd put it right in the middle.
Probably right in the middle, I'd say. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about these different uh trailers and stuff we got here, and let's just go ahead and talk about this big one here, right? Is we got remake re-release coming
It's
to
a
Switch for one
it's
of
like
the
it's like a HD version,
yeah,
modernization, I
HD
would say,
version.
of
Yes, modern. Good way to put it.
yeah,
Of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year
Paper
Door, which
Mario.
is a stupid expensive
Yeah.
game on GameCube. If you were to actually ever
It
try
is.
to buy it,
Guess who paid for it?
guess who paid for it? Right.
And you're not wrong. I think it was like $90 or $100 when I bought it. Yes, I paid full price.
Yeah, yeah,
It was probably like 50 or 60 back in 2000 whatever when it first came out, like
hmm
2002, 2003. So I
yeah.
am the jackass during the COVID era who bought Paper Mario full price and has still not put it in his GameCube to play it.
That's. I think it's just great to see that it's coming to Switch because this is one of those games to where I been really wanting to play, and I have the access to
Yeah.
play GameCube games because I have the Wii that where you can play GameCube games
Yes.
on. But here's the thing:
Yeah.
about all big GameCube games cost a
Yeah.
stupid amount of money for whatever
Anything
reason.
first party Nintendo on GameCube is stupid amount of
Right,
money.
stupid amount.
Or
So anytime we get these
very
ports, I'm
low
always
low
happy.
like low quantity prints of third party games. Even if they're
Mhm.
niche or crap, those go for dumb amounts of money too.
Yeah. And so this being ported to Switch, and it looks like a really nice graphical upgrade too. I was
It
looking at
looks
some of the comparisons.
fantastic. It looks
This
so
is
good.
this is the game that saved the direct for me than just being a bleh direct. This
Oh
is the
yeah.
one thing.
Yeah.
This is the thing that happened. I'm like, holy crap! Yes, I can finally play this. You know, got almost as excited as I did when I saw Super Mario RPG be a legit thing.
Yep.
Which, shout out to that.
We
Getting another
didn't
trailer
see
that
this
looks
coming
great.
out. This was kind of unexpected, so I was kind of happy to see this. Out of all of the Paper Mario
That was
games,
very out
this
of the
is the big
blue.
dog.
This is the big one. Well, it's great too because you can also play the very first Paper Mario on the N64 expansion
64
if you
expansion
have
pack.
that.
Yep.
And so
I
now,
do
and
not.
that's a game I've been
Yep.
wanting to play. And now with this
That's
coming,
another
it looks like.
expensive physical game on N64 as well.
Well, yeah,
Collectible for the
but
N64.
it's great though because it's like I could play the first one and I could go play this one.
Mm.
So I'm looking forward to playing both of them. I'm definitely gonna try to play through the N64 one before
I think I'm gonna
this new
I'm gonna
one.
save up my money. I think I am gonna get the physical. I think it's running. I'll have to look on price charting. I think loose copies start at $70 or $80 for the N64 Paper Mario.
Interesting.
I could be wrong.
Wow,
It might have gone up or down.
that's a
It's
good
been a
bit.
while since I've looked, so I'll
That's a
do
good bit.
some price shopping online. I'll look around. It's a good bit, but considering it's part of the Paper Mario franchise that's very beloved, it makes sense for why it's priced where it's priced. And I also like that it's not overpriced. It's one of those games,
Yeah,
it's not niche. It's niche-ish. It's not a mainline Mario game, but it's got such a
yeah,
good audience and I wouldn't say it's highly rated, but it's rated high enough that enough people want to play it. So it's
yeah.
exchanged hands over the last 20 plus years, so it's just one of those games that's become collectible. It is what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just so excited to see it more accessible, right? That's the big thing, is anytime there's a great
Yeah.
old game that comes back, it's always great to let
Yeah.
more people be able to play this great game. And so the
And
accessibility, and
I
this is
think
what I love about the Switch in general, is this is the most
yeah,
accessible Switch console in general, when you think about all the different games it can play, right? It can play.
and the ports. Not all the
Right, that's
ports,
what I'm
but
saying.
a
That's what
good
I'm
amount of the
saying.
ports.
It has so much, right? Because it has about every major Mario game, for the most part. It has a
The
lot of
most part,
Zeldas.
except for
It's missing a couple of big Zeldas that they could
it's
easily
missing the
port.
two heavy hitters.
It's missing Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, but once they get those,
How
holy crap.
I'm telling you, man, they're waiting for the end of the generation. They're literally gonna wait right up to the
I'm
last
I'm
minute, right before
I'm
they're gonna release Switch 2.
I
And
what
I'm wondering
yeah.
if it's a strategy. I'm wondering if they're gonna release it on both. That's what they're waiting for. Because
That's a good point.
do you remember when Switch rumors started about a year and a half to 2 years ago when we said started saying a new console is maybe on the way coming soon, and we started hearing those rumors? Was
Hmm.
about the same time we started hearing rumors about Wind Waker Twilight Princess coming in a double pack. I
That
remember
could
that
definitely happen.
specifically.
I
So
just
I'm wondering.
the only
I'm like,
thing with
yeah, they're probably holding out another
the
year,
only
just one more
the
year.
only thing that I find really weird with that is the fact that ports would be a big headliner for something like that. You know what I mean?
I would hope. I'm hoping they drop it March, April next
Well,
year. 'Cause if the rumors are true that the new
here's
console's coming out next year, I think
that'd be big.
if
That's huge if
a
that
spring
happens.
a spring Zelda release would make sense because that's typically when most Zelda games come out is in the spring generally.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think spring, summer, somewhere in there, I think that would probably be the prime market to hit. Then if the new console does come out in the fall, that could be a day one re-release on the new
yeah,
console if they want to do that.
for sure. We'll see. I mean, it could be interesting too, right? Because that's a good point. Something I also just thought about is a rumor regarding the next Switch is the launch title for it is going to be essentially Super Mario Odyssey
Odyssey
2.
2. Odyssey 2.
And
Or it could be a new
so,
thing, maybe a new thing that's kind of like Odyssey. We don't know yet.
well, it could still be a sequel to it could still be Odyssey 2
It could
without
still
being
be
called
yeah,
Odyssey.
it could be without being called Odyssey. Exactly.
It just depends. Essentially, though, Odyssey sequel, Odyssey 2, blah blah blah, could be a big
Yeah.
way to launch with it. But if they were to also make this Zelda ports to launch with it too, that would be crazy because they need to have both Mario and Zelda being launch
And it
titles on
would
the
still
Switch.
give Nintendo time to develop either a sequel to Tears of the Kingdom or a new Zelda restart again.
It's a very good,
And
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I've got
that's gonna
a
take a while
sneaking
too.
I've got a sneaking suspicion they're gonna drop Tears of the Kingdom on Switch 2. Just to have it on Switch 2. I think that's gonna be day one, regardless.
I wonder if they do like a thing of both of them together, right? Because
Or a
it's
triple, like a
yeah.
digital triple pack. That's how they get you. That's how they get you with the new console. They're like, "Oh, you want to get Twilight Princess and Wind Waker? You gotta buy Tears of the Kingdom again."
I don't think they do that,
Like,
but
damn
I
it!
was saying
They
maybe
got
there's
me.
a way that they'd have Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom together. since that is
That
one big
I've never
story.
understood.
Whenever
Yeah,
you look at that,
it's been long enough. I think you are right. They could do that as a double pack. Why haven't they done that as double pack yet? That's their
well,
business decision.
Tears of the Kingdom did just come out like 4 months ago. I was saying for the new Switch, if they wanted to do that, they have a lot of
I don't
possibilities.
think that would be a day one, but I think definitely in
Oh
year
yeah,
one.
for sure,
Year one for sure.
possibly.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the next game, I suppose. Which this is the
Smaller
one
game.
that personally disappointed me the most, and that is
I'm
Mario
split on
vs
this one.
Donkey Kong.
I'm split on this one.
Mario vs Donkey Kong. That's
Hmm.
there's a couple rumors going into this direct.
Yeah.
One of the bigger ones is something Donkey Kong. This is in fact something Donkey Kong,
Which
but
is true. It is true.
when people think about, I can't get mad because it's true. But if you just say Donkey Kong in so many ways, so many
That
people
could
will
be
expect
anything.
Donkey Kong Country, right? And I
Yeah.
personally love the Country games. Even though I've played more 2D Mario than Donkey Kong
Hmm.
Country, I think Donkey
Yeah.
Kong Country is, I like them more as 2D platformers just because it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I like how much more creative they feel compared to your Mario. And so I
Yeah.
absolutely
They do.
love the Country games. And so I was hoping that we'd get a new one of those, but instead we get this, which is like a big is this another remaster?
This is a
Remake?
GBA game, a GBA remake. It's basically
Remake.
they took
Yeah.
they took the GBA game, they brought it to Switch, which for a graphical upgrade, just the concept of taking a GBA game and bringing it back to Switch with new features, it's pretty cool concept. I do like that. Is it a
Yeah.
game that's going to sell very well? No. I
That's
think
true.
the
This is a
hardcore
very niche game. It looks
the,
like a
the,
fun game,
the
but
Mario
it's
fans
not
will
one I
buy
need
this.
to rush to.
They'll buy it. The Mario
It's one of
fans
those
will buy
games that
this.
I'm gonna wait to buy because it looks fun, but it's not like I don't need this day one. I don't.
And I don't
So
see this. I doubt this will come to Switch 2, unless there's backwards compatibility. I just don't see this coming to Switch 2 at launch. If they
who
do,
knows?
I'll.
February
Should I make a bet? Should I make a bet?
16th. Nah, don't worry about it.
I will. Oh shoot! What should I wager? I'll think about that for the next
Nah, I got you.
episode. I'll think about that for the next episode. We'll talk about this.
Talk about it.
But,
Anyway,
but
but
yeah,
yeah,
for
I
taking
was
a GBA
nice.
game and bringing it kind of like what was it? Link's Awakening? Was that had a GBA version? That was also on SNES,
That
right?
was Game Boy. That was a Link's Awakening was
That was a
Game
Game
Boy
Boy
and Game Boy
original.
Color.
So
So
but I think Link's Awakening kind of started that trend a little bit of taking Game Boy games and bringing them to a modern audience. I love this concept just for that principle alone. Is this a heavy hitter? No. Is this going to be a fun game? I think it'll be fun for a few hours.
it looks fun.
I think
I
most of us would enjoy it just as a casual fun game.
you have to
And I
keep in
doubt it's
mind
casual.
now.
I bet the later levels are going to piss us off.
It's one of those things to where it's like you need they have to be very smart and like what games do they
Yeah.
want to spend the time and energy to really do something this big of an overhaul to, especially when they have the ability now to where now they're bringing over a Game Boy
Yeah.
and Game Boy Advance games on the Switch Online, and there's so many great games that they're
Yeah.
bringing over that's exciting to see. And so it's interesting that now we probably won't get the GBA version of this, and if we do, it'll be for a long time because they're going to be wanting to push this out, right?
Yeah, this will be the primary focus. This is where all the money making is going to happen.
So
I don't think this one will come to GBA. If it does, cool. More power to them. I think that'd be cool if they
yeah,
release both versions, or if maybe there's some like a secondary menu. Maybe you can go back and play the GBA game. It's sort of like a emulator sort of deal. It's attached into the
mhm.
game itself. Maybe that's an option in the game that they just haven't mentioned yet because it is still a little bit out, not too far out. But I think they would have mentioned that in this direct if that feature were in there. I think they would have said something.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Anyway, so
Princess
any other thoughts on
Peach.
this game? Princess Peach. Here we go.
Princess Peach. Let's just jump into
So
it.
this game was previously announced because
Hmm.
the other two games were like the big two new ones that we didn't know about at all. At least from
Yeah.
Nintendo themselves. But this
Yeah.
one we finally got our
A title and a release date.
title release date. A lot of like we got a good bit of exactly what is this game about though.
And this is not
Which
the
is
first time
really
Princess Peach has
cool
had a game per se.
to see.
This is the first major Peach game.
Right.
This is a big deal for Nintendo. Peach has been around as originally Princess Toadstool back in the 80s. Peach is finally getting her first game in almost 40 years. That's huge.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
very
think
true.
I don't think this game will be for every Mario fan, but I think a majority of Mario fans will at least pick this up just to check it out and see what it's all about.
Very fair.
And
I
the
think
story
the
concept's
gameplay
really
of it,
cool. I like the backstory. The backstory's cool.
I think it looks pretty cool, honestly. It seems pretty
Yeah,
neat.
yeah, it does.
And it seems, and the thing that I love about Nintendo, right, is anytime they do any sort of new game, is they always focus on the creativity of whatever this game
Mm-hmm.
is. And
And this is very
so,
creative.
yeah, it's a very creative looking game that I love to see them uh try out and do. And so it seems really focused on too that they're like doing three
Mm-hmm.
different sort of like main power-ups for it.
There's a
And
lot of
so it
power
seems
ups in
pretty
this
cool.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems pretty cool.
And it's cool because there's like I'm trying to remember. Was there like a skill tree system where you can like upgrade each level of each class you're in? So it goes pretty deep. So you're not
It's
just
a
playing as a sword
very
fighter or you're just playing as like a detective. There's like different levels to each thing you can do, which I think it might upgrade your weapons or abilities for each level you go up. Like you'll get stronger as you progress.
It's a
So
very good question, right?
for a
Uh
Peach game, this is pretty deep. When I saw the trailer, I was like,
yeah.
"Whoa! I didn't expect this in a Peach game."
It looks
But it
really
kind of
cool.
gave me, yeah, it does.
It had
I'm,
me honestly like this was one of those games when they first announced it, we got that little like
mm-hmm,
snippet back in during like their summer direct to where it's like, "Huh, this seems
yeah.
interesting, right? Cool to see that Peach is finally getting her own big game."
But we didn't know
And
enough
then
about it.
we didn't know enough about it. It's just one of those things like, "Huh, interesting, cool to see." And now we're
Yeah.
seeing all these different things with all these different power-ups and seeing the diversity of the gameplay is what looks great to me too. With all these
Mm-hmm.
different things that Peach can do, and it puts a big focus on between these three different power-ups. And so what I like about it compared to your typical Mario is that it's focused on what it seems like fewer amount of power-ups, but
Yeah.
more deeply done power-ups and
Or depth.
the
Yeah.
whole more depth, right? Exactly. Plus the whole thing of it looks to be more the whole theme of it too, like being one big show, right? I
It's like
really
a theater
like
stage. It feels like you're watching a musical theater performance in front of you on a stage. But there's
right.
still going to be battling. There's going to be like a battle system where you're still battling enemies, but you still like you don't lose that feeling of like it almost
It
feels
looks
like you're
so
watching a
fun.
show.
It looks like a
But
lot of fun.
I think we talked about this. Paper Mario, going back to Paper Mario, I think the battle system, as I recall, also took place on a stage. This is like something they pulled from Paper Mario and
Yes.
applied it to Princess Peach. So
I didn't even think about the similarities.
it is a carryover from the Paper Mario franchise, which is really cool.
Yeah, Princess Peach Showtime coming March next year. That looks great. I'm looking forward
She
to
will
it.
save the theater.
She will save the theater exactly.
All right, this is one we haven't dove into too much next, but we have F-Zero 99. This is
I need
something.
to play
This is a
this.
SNES
I haven't played
classic.
it
This
yet.
is a SNES
SNES
classic.
Classic. So this is interesting because Nintendo's done several of these 99 ones. I think they've done three before.
Yeah, they did
They've done
Mario.
They did Tetris, Mario,
Tetris is the
and
hands down the biggest. It's the one
Pac-Man
that's
was the other one.
lasted. Pac-Man
That's
just
true.
Bandai Namco was just I think they're just shutting down or just shut down Pac-Man 99.
I thought that one's
That one
been
was
shut
pretty
down
big
for a
too.
little bit, but yeah.
I think there were still a
But
few
this is
players
really
left
interesting.
over, but yeah,
This is really I find this one really interesting though because
I do too.
it's F
Yeah,
Zero, but it's focused. It seems like
a
it
battle
really
mode.
enhances what the game. It's really interesting, right? F
Yeah.
Zero battle royale ish kind of. You know, it's very
And
interesting.
you're
So
not
I'll
just
be.
racing CPUs, you're racing other people. It's fantastic.
This
And you're
looks
not
like
just
pure
racing them.
insanity.
It reminds me of the beginning. I haven't seen the whole movie yet, but it reminds me kind of the beginning of oh my god, what's that movie? VR, the movie about the VR. You know which one I'm talking about, right? Ready Player One.
VR. Oh,
The beginning of Ready
that
Player
big
One where they
race
have the big
sequence.
race and they're all just wrecking
Yeah,
each other out at the beginning. That's exactly what this is.
yeah.
I love
It
it.
seems. I just find it wild to have such a big such a like
And
so many players
the
in one
track's not
race.
that wide. It's not that wide, which makes it even more chaotic.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. We need to play this sometime. It
Oh
looks
yeah,
pretty
we're
fun
playing this
though.
one together.
We're
We'll have
playing
a
it.
battle
We
night
have to
if we have a way
battle night.
to. I gotta see if we can find a way if maybe does Chris have capture card?
Yeah, yeah. He could if we all wanted to play. Yeah,
Okay,
we do.
yeah,
We'll
we
look
gotta
into
get
playing
him
this
in on
because
that.
this looks fun, right?
This
Playing
one's
with so many
wild.
different people. Just look at this mass amount of cards. This looks crazy.
It's insane. Check this out, guys. It's
It's
wild.
so crazy. But yeah, I'm looking forward
Not
to
much
checking
more
this
to
out.
talk about, but yeah, we got to
No.
get a little bit deeper. I was on vacation when this dropped, so I had enough time to download it before I left. I played through a little bit of the tutorial while I was in Florida, but I didn't get very far. But yeah, so far it looks like it'll be a fun game. It's a quick, few
Yeah,
minutes of your time you can pick up and play, and then if you want to finish, you can just drop it. It's real quick and easy and fun. All right, this
absolutely.
one's a big one for me, Spencer. The next one. Uh,
This is one that's exciting to me
this one's good
as
for
well.
you, I think, in a lot of ways as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Because this was the first major female action video game star that really took the world by storm, and that's Lara
Yeah.
Croft. This came out of Eidos Interactive way back in the day in the 90s. This is the first three Tomb Raider games that came out on PC and PS1. Um,
Mhm.
so if you grew up in the late 90s, this was really something that it was right as the disc era was starting to really take off in the mid to late 90s. Disc games were all the rage. You could just pop your disc right in that CD drive, pop it in, slam it. You're playing Tomb Raider. You're having fun. And everybody loved it cuz it took like the idea of like Indiana Jones and made it more
Mhm.
action oriented based. But there was always the crazy thing about Lara Croft in the game is there was that risk reward of you gotta make sure she survives because she takes damage. She can be killed. If you f up a jump, she's dead. That's it. And it was one of those
Yeah.
games where you really have to make sure you save in the right spots because if you save in the wrong spot or forget to save, you gotta backtrack so far, man. It's not easy. What I really love about this though, it is a HD remaster, but not only do they do HD, it's not fully HD. It's a kind of halfway in between. It feels like it's more modern, but not so modern that it's like,
It's
whoa, this is super
it's one of
modern.
the it's one of those things where the I think the touch ups look really nice, right? And the other thing too that I
Yeah.
find great about it is you have an option, and it's literally just a click of a button that you can change in between the
Yes.
old graphic
The
style and this new
classic
one.
graphics, which I'm
And
gonna
it looks
play
great.
so much. Oh my gosh.
It's gonna be great, right? Like the Master Chief
Yeah.
Collection did that too with the older games, right? And so I
Yeah.
find it wild too, right? They did such a great touch up on the
Hmm.
first Halo on the Halo games,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of fun seeing the differences in between new and old in some places. Like I
Yeah.
mainly played
This
the
this
new,
will be
but
just like that. Yeah.
sometimes with the older one areas, it's like how different does this look on the older graphics? Holy crap, that's different. Okay, back to the new. And so
So
that's how
this
I
one will
am
not
about a lot of it.
This one will not be exclusive just to Switch. This is going to be on Switch and Xbox and PlayStation. So more than likely, I will
Correct.
probably actually play this one on Xbox. Probably, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Um,
I
however,
actually
if
ended
it's
up
good enough, I might buy on both. And if it's on Game Pass, that
it's one of
might
those
give me
things.
more incentive to just download it on Game Pass, and then I'll just buy the Switch version
The
separately.
for me it depends on how well this runs and if it's not
Yeah,
stupid. I'll
yeah,
elaborate on that in
because
a moment
Switch ports,
because
Switch ports are a little
well
wacky.
I think this if it runs well I think it'd be a great thing on Switch. The other addendum
It's
to
this
that
is a
is
perfect
saying it's
game for
stupid
Switch. I'm
is
telling you.
I also felt that way about Metal Gear Solid collection that's coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
But then that game has a stupid large file size for the Switch. Like bigger
Yeah.
than I want to say even bigger than Tears of the Kingdom, which is the biggest first party Switch game.
Wow.
To where it's like, okay, never mind. I'm not getting that on Switch because it's a stupid amount of space to
Exactly.
use for
Yeah.
remasters like this, right? Right, they don't even
Yeah.
feel as touched up either, right? And so it's absolutely wild how big they
Which
are.
I will tell you, as a 90s guy, even with, I think, a modern texture on this game, the file sizes for these three are actually really small. I don't think this should be very large. It should only be a few gigs. It sounds like
I
they're
don't
just
think
doing
so.
the
I don't.
touch
I
up where you
agree.
can flip flop between the two. Um, I think the first Tomb Raider. I think Tomb Raider. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember the file sizes from the 90s. It's been so long.
It's all good.
I never got to play the first
They're
Tomb
pretty
Raider.
small.
That's gonna be first Tomb Raider is the one I'm really looking forward to. However, I'm
Nice.
trying to remember when Tomb Raider Anniversary came out on the around the 360 era. I think they already redid that story with modern graphics, so this will be kind of like a
Good question.
this is like taking the classic graphics of the original Tomb Raider one and redoing like a touch up on the graphics on that. Whereas Anniversary, I think, was a full reskin. I gotta go back and look
I don't
into
know.
that because that's the one game that's a little tricky. Um, Tomb Raider 2 is actually the only one of the original trilogy I grew up on. I played the crap out of Tomb Raider 2. I played Tomb Raider 2 way too young. My mom did not want me to play this because A, there was a lot of death, killing, shooting, and the main character had large tatas, to put it mildly. So
Yeah.
as a young boy, she didn't want to set a bad example on me early. But as a kid growing up on video games, I didn't care about that stuff. I was more interested in the gameplay as a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I've
So
personally
I think
never
when she realized
played.
I was playing it for the gameplay, she didn't make a big deal out of it. So
I've
I do
never.
applaud my mom for letting me play that, even though against her better judgment, she could have easily taken it away from me.
I've never played any of the original ones. They're on my list of things I'd like to play. I think I
Yeah.
bought the second one on Steam because that's the one that everyone talks about as like the big one of the three.
Which
And
one?
so the second one.
Second one is the best story.
Yeah, and
The
so
whole
I bought that
story
one really
of
cheap and never played it.
it is wild because it starts off without going too far into the story. It involves ancient China, and there's like a
Mhm.
whole dragon prophecy. It's tied to a ancient blade. Like the soul of a dragon
Interesting.
is literally tied to an ancient blade. I don't want to spoil more than that,
Yeah, I want
but
to check this collection out. It looks great.
hundreds of years in the future, or if not 2,000 years in the future, whatever it is, a wild Italian mobster gets a hold of the blade. And I won't
Hmm.
spoil more than that because it goes from a tale of like normal like 90s to like early 2000s sort of like it's very Indiana Jones in the beginning, how it's very much swashbuckling, dungeon crawling, wild traps and stuff swinging. The whole first two levels of the game are very like Indiana Jones, and then by the time you get to like near the end of the game, you're getting into some wild like fantasy, like Quake level fantasy shit. Dude, it's a wild game.
That's
That's what 90s games were all about, man. They're just like
you're. It sounds
they
like you're
start you in one place
describing.
and end in a whole other different area. So
I know this is a bit newer, and a lot of people are like, this is just PlayStation's version of Tomb Raider. But it sounds like you're describing Uncharted, which I loved. So I'm definitely really looking forward to this.
this really inspired Uncharted. These first three games
Fair
are a
enough.
huge inspiration for Uncharted. I do know that for a fact. So
Yeah. But
yep.
yeah, I'm looking forward to playing them. I've like I said, I've never played any of the originals, and so this looks like a great
Um,
set. So I'm looking
I
forward to
really
it.
want to see how one plays. Two will always have a special place in my heart, so I'm really excited to go back and play two.
Hmm.
That's two is the main reason I'm buying the whole collection. I am gonna buy
That's
this.
awesome.
I never officially finished two, but I cheated and I watched the cutscenes for the end of the game on YouTube anyways. So I do know how the game ends, and there's a funny bonus level at the end of the game with a hilarious ending cutscene at the end of two that will have you giggling your ass off. It's such a funny
Nice,
bonus ending. I love it. It's I
nice.
will never spoil the ending of two for you because
I
it's
definitely want to play it. It's on my
it's so
list.
it's comedy genius how they end that game. And then
Nice.
three was more action oriented based with some cool jump like the jump mechanics were the same from two. They basically took two and just bumped it up a different level. But I heard the story wasn't as good as two. So two and three are very side by side. One is just weird. One was the first game where they were just trying to get their footing in terms of like
Yeah.
they wanted to do the dungeon story, and it's kind of very much Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then by the end of the game, it goes into some really wild, weird shit.
I'm looking
Like
forward to checking
really
them out.
weird.
It's a collection I'm definitely looking forward to. Definitely one
You'll
of the
you'll
things I
dig it.
was excited
If
most
you like
for the
Uncharted,
from
you'll
the
dig that.
direct. Yeah.
All right, you want to talk about Mario Kart 8?
Yeah, I guess just before we dive into this, this is the last thing that we're mainly diving into, but there's a couple other like big trailers too that came out. Like we also had
Yep.
just elaborated on. I don't feel like they really added much new, but like they showed another trailer for the Dark Moon port, which looks great for a 3DS
Yeah.
game coming
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Switch. And then they also did another trailer for the Super Mario RPG, which I'm very excited for. Getting that
Yep.
one day one for sure. And so I just want to highlight those. But this is the last big thing
Yeah.
that really stood out to us. And yeah, it's more
Mhm.
racetracks coming
Yep.
to our one of our favorite games to play together, which is Mario Kart 8.
Yep.
And well, they confirmed one of the last eight tracks,
Which they love
and
doing. They
then
love doing this. They only give us one track, and we're gonna
it's the
surprise you with the other 7.
it's interesting because it's the if you notice it says it's the Wii one that they reveal here, because
Yep.
it seems like they've had this thing to where it's usually one Wii track per set, and a lot of the time that's like a
Seems
lot
to
of
be,
people's
yeah.
highlights. For me, it's a lot of
It
the
is,
times
yeah.
the highlight because for me, Wii was the first console that I
Mhm.
actually owned or
Yeah.
had, and I played a lot of it, and so seeing some of those maps back, like the big map from the Wii that I felt like Mario Kart was missing just because I remember it so much was
Yeah.
the Coconut Mall, and
Yes,
so
that is
seeing
by
that
far a
back,
fan. That's become a fan favorite of
back.
mine, and I never got to originally play a lot of Mario Kart Wii, and I love that track now.
And so seeing that on Switch, and then they even updated it to
Yep.
uh because there was a whole thing where the cars didn't move. They updated that. It was fantastic. Absolutely love they brought
I
that back. So
remember
seeing
the
all those cars,
fans; they were so mad. They were like, "Add the
yeah, I
cars
was
back,
like,
you cowards!"
yeah, I was a little disappointed there because it's when I first played through the map, I didn't realize the cars didn't move, and so it's like, uh, going into it, I didn't know that they didn't move, and so it's like I was like playing it, and I'm like, this feels not right. And then they updated it to where they do move again. I'm like, thank goodness they move, and I was like so happy because it's like now Coconut Mall is fully back. And so,
It's
but anyway,
fully
point is,
back.
I
Yeah.
love seeing all of these older courses back. It's absolutely great seeing so many of them back. This one I don't remember as well particularly, but great to still see it back. And I think it's also great to see these other characters that we have here as well.
Yeah.
Particularly they highlight here Diddy Kong. I think this is the character I'm most excited for.
Diddy
Diddy Kong.
Kong
He's
was
I
really
love
big.
the
Yep.
Kongs, right? Funky Kong,
Yeah. I'll bring all
which
the
is
Kong.
great to see too.
I think
And so seeing those two
our
is
buddy
great.
Graham is gonna really like seeing those two Kongs more than anybody because he plays
That's
Mario Kart 8
yeah.
with his wife. So yeah, they're gonna dig that.
Yeah, they have Pauline here, which is great too. Seeing
I'm
Pauline back
excited
in
for
the game.
Pauline. She's finally
Let's just
in.
say Switch has been such a great comeback era for Pauline here, right? She was a big
Yeah.
focus in Odyssey, and now she's in Mario Kart. Just it's great to see such a classic character given more love. So to
Yep.
yeah, she's being playable here, which is fantastic.
Yep.
It's funny because it says she's from Tour, and this last one is the one I'm like, why did they pick this character? Because it's Peachette.
Yeah, this
This
is
is
a
the
weird
one.
one, but
It's a weird
yeah.
one. I think overall though, it's a good selection, right? I think the first three were great selections, and this is the one where I'm like,
They've got all the heavy
eh?
hitters.
I don't know
I
why
think they've
Peachette
nailed all
is
the
the one
heavy
to
hitters.
pick,
This
but
was this was extra credit.
this is extra credit. Yeah, it's really weird. Peachette, there we go. Very interesting, but that was the tease for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Wave 6. We know what one of the last 8 tracks coming to the game is.
Let Samus in, you cowards.
It just
I
says
do find it funny
available
that
this holiday.
they put Peachette in, but they don't put Samus in.
Yeah,
They
it's
got
very
Lunk. They got
interesting.
Lunk in there.
Got Lunk. I find it great.
Two
They have
versions of
Link
him.
and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, they
I'm
didn't have
personally
to put
very
him in
excited to
there.
play the Kongs. I love the Kongs. Like I was just telling you, I love the country games, so Seeing both of these is very exciting.
I never got to play the country games, but I have a soft spot for Funky Kong.
Donkey Kong's great. Because they
Great.
made a big deal of him to where you could play as him in the newest Donkey Kong Country, but he was kind of
Yeah,
like the easy mode character, kind of like how
yeah,
in the newest couple new Super Mario games they kind of have like those easier characters. He was one of those,
yeah.
and so it's great to see him in it. But yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I'm excited for the last bit of Mario Kart. I absolutely love the game. It is one of the best games on Switch. So
No
definitely the best
doubt.
multiplayer game on Switch, right?
Hands
Well, that or
down, the
Smash
best
Bros.
servers. It's better servers than Smash Bros.
Online best online game, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. As I say, multiplayer in general, I love Smash Bros. But
I think
it's
Smash is better local, honestly. But in terms of online servers, hands down Mario
there you
Kart
go.
8.
I think that's the best way to put it. One's best for local, one's best for online. I agree
Especially
with you.
when Spencer and I are racing each other and we like nudge each other right at the finish line and cut each other off, and
Yo,
you're like,
I
no!
remember I remember one time, it wasn't the last time we played, but it was
It was a while back, and we
you
did it
remember
to each
when
other back, and it was like back-to-back races. You did it to me, and then I did it to you.
I remember one time we were kind of like what was it? I don't remember if this is when we were playing that time when we had a lot of people, but there's one time where I remember we were like keep on throwing F bombs at each other. Fuck
Oh,
yeah,
that's
fuck you. It's
fantastic,
great.
so
Like we were going
fantastic.
hard against each other. It was
To
great.
the point, I think our families were probably worried about us.
It's so funny. We got really into it, but yeah, Mario Kart's always a great time. So great to
Overall, great
see what
presentation.
more of it has to offer. Yeah, I can't wait for
All right.
what more.
Do you have any honorable mentions from that presentation that you wanted to mention?
I mean, I feel like my big honorable mention was the Super Mario RPG
Mhm.
trailer that I don't have linked up here, but
Yeah.
it like I said, it's a game I'm very excited for. It was
Mhm.
another one of those like it's a great trailer to showcase it, but it's like it doesn't really add anything new. I
Yeah,
felt like.
exactly.
I did see though maybe they showed it during the Japanese direct and not in this one, but there's an
Mhm.
option where you can in the settings to where you can change it between the original music and the new music, and so
Oh, that's
that's really
cool.
cool. Yeah,
They've been doing that with a lot of RPGs, I've noticed. A
it's
lot of
I think
modern
it's a great thing
RPGs,
that they're doing so.
they always go back to the studio and they record new music. It's the same music. They're just doing new renditions of the music. So you get both versions and you can just switch to whichever one you want to listen to, the new or the original.
Yeah, that's
Just whatever
that's good.
vibe you're vibing for that day, you just flip that little tab and you're on your way.
Nice,
All right, so I
nice.
think that was it for Nintendo, right?
That is it for Nintendo, and now we kind of go into more of what you were mainly wanting to talk about here.
Yes, we're gonna
Uh,
stick with the Japanese theme tonight. We got the
there we
Tokyo
go.
Game Show, which was going on over in Tokyo, Japan. This is one of the big unveils for a few games. And if there's anything that we can both agree on this generation of consoles, it is that Japan has been a new heavy focus for the market, whether it's for PlayStation or Xbox or Switch even, and other third-party devices. But generally, those main three, they're really pushing hard to uh, break the Japanese market. They really want to get in on getting more Japanese gamers to focus on their platform, or if they're extreme gamers, just to sell games for all three consoles to the same consumer. So this was really
Absolutely.
cool. We got to see some showcase stuff. First of all, we're going to kick it off with the Xbox showcase. We had Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond here in the U.S. speaking to the audience in legit Japanese. They started in Japanese and then transitioned back
Hmm.
to English. So that was kind of funny seeing Phil Spencer speaking
It's
Japanese.
how much I didn't watch the showcase, just so everybody knows. I just looked at
Yeah,
what was announced. Um,
yeah.
but what? How much did he actually speak in Japanese at the beginning? Like a few sentences?
Yeah, it was like one or two sentences, and then he would switch back to English.
That's
I just thought it was kind of cool, and he
I like
sounded
that.
better than she did. I like that. He actually took the time to like learn the pronunciation. That was kind of cool.
That's great. That's great. There is a very
But
specific
I
way
give
how
it
some
A for
things are
effort for
pronounced.
Sarah. Because
Yeah.
Sarah, I could tell she was like, it looked like she was reading a teleprompter a little bit. So I felt a little bad for her, but huge A for effort for I know it's hard to get out there and try to say something briefly in Japanese. Not the easiest language to speak on camera, obviously, or even in your own private life. Still hard to do.
Yeah, it's regarded as one of the more hard languages to learn, but it's weird.
It
It's
is, yeah.
um, however, it's
The way the
interesting
sentences
enough.
are
It's because
structured is
of
different.
it's because of the writing is why, because they have three different
Yeah.
systems of writing.
Mm.
Not so much the language itself. Their like syntax of how to do things. Once you get the hang of it,
Syntax is
actually,
different, yeah.
their syntax is actually relatively pretty simple compared to a lot of other languages. The problem with their language, though, is things can just go on for a while because they don't have as
They
many
do. They
syllables in
do,
their
yeah.
language compared to
Yeah.
others. But that's a
And you can
completely
hear it
whole
when you
different
listen.
side
If
conversation.
you listen, like if you listen to when people speak in Japanese and they have the English dub over top of it, or not the English dub, but the English subtitles, you can read along the subtitles. They might go to like the next sentence and they'll like say a word from the previous sentence and it's out of order. It's just the way their syntax is. It's a little different.
Yeah. But anyway,
So you can hear it
but
if you
anyway,
listen enough.
but yes. So anyway, which of these games stood out to you since you're the one that actually watched all
Um,
this stuff?
so the first one is Microsoft had worked out a deal with Square Enix that Octopath Traveler 2 is coming to Xbox. That is a very big one coming at the very beginning of early 2024. The first Octopath game became a cult classic for Square Enix titles. The gameplay, everybody I know that has played Octopath said this is one of those games that um, it's going to be a franchise that's going to stick around for a very long time. The whole mechanic system behind it, multiple storylines. Every time you play the game, you're going to get a different story every time. That's one of those games you can pick up and play, and it's going to be a new experience every time. So that is huge, and the sequel looks like it's even going to be better than the first game. So
Didn't it? Did it not
that
already come
that's
out?
huge. No, it is coming out in 2024.
Well, I meant on other consoles, or am I?
Maybe
Okay.
it did. Maybe I'm wrong. I was. Maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know, but it is coming next year to Xbox, confirmed. I know the first Octopath did.
Oh, never mind. It's coming out February
Um,
24th. Okay.
okay,
It
I
looks
was about to
really
say
good
I
though.
know the first Octopath had a brief deal with Square Enix. It was on Game Pass for a few months. Then we got a quick look at Forza Motorsport. They showed off one of the new tracks. They're specifically in Japan, which was really cool. They unveiled that at Tokyo Game Show.
That looked pretty cool actually. I saw
Beautiful course, very very
looks
futuristic sort of
very
feel.
good.
And that game's
It
coming out
looks
October 10th,
beautiful.
just right around the corner. We're weeks away from Forza, man. We've been waiting since before the launch of Series X for this game. Really excited to play that.
I'm hoping it's
And
good.
then we got
Are you gonna check it out? You're gonna be checking out Forza again?
if I can make storage. Starfield's taking up a lot of room right now, and Flight Simulator
I'm
too.
I'm
So
very much
we'll
in the
see how this
same boat.
goes.
I'm very much in the same boat as you on that front.
All my friends are screaming, "We need more storage space!"
We have to start looking into
But
one of
yeah,
those
we will
internal
all
cards
make
they have.
space. We'll make space. We'll all play Forza because it's a racing game. Everyone likes a good racing game. Even if you're more a fan of arcade racers, Forza is one of those games that they've
I,
developed to where it's
I'm
realistic, but
just
you can still play not fully simulated. You can still play it more of an arcadey fun style
yeah, I
too.
really want to check it out sometime. Like I'm not a big realistic sim person. Uh, like what this
Yeah,
like what Forza does, but the technology behind this game is just super
it's
impressive.
insane. Like the way
Yeah,
they
just
scan the
how beautiful
tracks
it looks is
is
amazing.
mind-boggling. They literally go to every track in the world and they have a digital scanner. They walk along the track slowly and it scans every nook and crevice and bump in the pavement and they fully translate it into the game. It is wild.
It looks
For them to
fantastic. Like
put
it's
that
just
on
one
a
of those.
console is just
It's just one of those things where it's so technologically impressive as somebody that's a big tech slash gamer geek, just in general.
that's what
It's
you're
like
going to
I
school
need to
for.
check it out. I
Yeah.
really want to check it. I do want to. I am legitimately interested in it. It's just a matter of when I'll have enough
Yeah.
space because it's like 130 gigs.
And this is kind of a console or a uh this is kind of like a reboot of the Forza franchise. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do that's different from previous Forza
Yeah.
games. I want to see the direction that the studio kind of wants to set for the franchise. I'm
Hmm.
assuming they're going in a slightly different direction, a new
Yeah.
vision. We'll see what they do.
We'll see.
Next game up, we got a quick new look at the Atlantic City DLC for Fallout 76. Not a fan favorite game for a lot of people. I know that pissed a lot of people off at the launch, or those
I've
who
heard
had
it's
to go
gotten a
through the
lot
whole
better, but
power helmet debacle, like my brother did with the whole promised a nylon bag, but gave or they promised a certain kind of, I think it was like a nylon bag or something, but your helmet showed up with a completely different bag. They lied. They couldn't get the right bags to everybody out on time, so
wow.
that game had like double controversy in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So,
I
but
I hear
I've
it's
heard a lot of
supposed to
good
be
things.
like
This
their
game,
biggest.
games like
It's
No
supposed to
Man's
be their
Sky, it's kind of
biggest
came
expansion.
back from the ashes.
We'll see. I mean, it seems like it could be a good point to test it out. Plus, the base game's on Game Pass, so maybe we'll check it
It
out
is on
sometime.
Game Pass because Bethesda. And then we got the announcement that coming November 15th, Elder Scrolls is finally coming to Japan,
This
Spencer.
was the one that I'm surprised by because I didn't know Elder Scrolls Online, one of the biggest modern MMOs, isn't in Japan, which is a massive market for MMOs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was very surprised to read that it wasn't available there until soon this year.
Yep. And then we're gonna jump into the Ace Attorney games, whether it's the first Phoenix Wright games or the Apollo Justice games. That is 6 games, Spencer, coming to Xbox. Placed. It looks like um, this is actually something they've been developing for a long time. So these are actually only Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and PC versions. But because of next gen, it'll ultimately be on the same stores as PS5 and Series X and S. So something they've been
Nice.
working on for a while. But both
I've played.
trilogies will be available, which is just wild.
I'm
Six
not.
games all out. Same.
Yeah.
Let me see. When is that? Are they saying when it's coming? September
September
26th.
26th. That's
That's
just
days away.
that is days away. Yeah, I've played a little bit of the Ace Attorney trilogy. I played a little bit of the first game. Not my kind of game, but I will say it is very well done. It's like if I would to go play a game like that, it's that trilogy right there. So it's great to see that's coming to Xbox and then having the other trilogy as well. Cool stuff.
Oh, it looks
I
like the
like it.
other trilogy is not coming out till January 25th. I was confused. I thought they were all coming out the same day.
Yes. It
Looks
looks
like the
like that
first.
one's not on Game Pass though. But
Is
anyway,
that?
besides the point.
Yeah. So they're working on that.
But besides the point,
Then let me
it's
see
cool
what
to see
else we
it
had
coming.
here. We got another quick look at a Uden Chronicle 100 Heroes. That looked like an okay game. Now that we're getting look, it's coming out April 24th next year for Game Pass. Now that we're getting a little bit closer to the spring launch, that game is they're starting to show more content from that game. That's really big. I'm excited to see what they do with that.
Nice.
Let's see here. Should we move over to Capcom now?
Sure. Because I
Okay,
think
so
everything else,
Capcom.
like they had a couple other games here that's coming to Game Pass. Like there's a couple of the what are these game series called? Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name is coming to Game Pass, and one of the other games in that
Mhm.
series is
Oh,
coming.
and then
But a lot of
another
stuff
look
is
at
just
Pal World. Pal World, that
Power
Pokemon with
World is
guns
coming.
game.
Yes, but that's actually coming to Xbox. So I think that was a big announcement there because I
Xbox
don't
and
think that was
PC coming
previously
in
announced.
2024. Yep, next year. Still no release
We
date
got
yet though.
the newly released Party Animals game is getting collaboration between
With Ori
with
and the Will o' the
Ori.
Wisps.
We also got a trailer for and the
Persona
other big
3,
thing
Persona
is
3, and
yes,
Tactica.
the other big thing
And
that I
they're
think is worth mentioning
coming
is
November 17th, coming to Game Pass and PC Game Pass. Oh, and
yes for
PUBG got a new
Persona
map.
5 Tactica. Persona 5 Tactica is coming
G...
November 17th. Persona 3 Reload is February 2nd next year.
That's right. I keep forgetting
But
that's until next year.
and then the other big thing is that Wolong Fallen Dynasty got
I remember this. I
DLC.
told you about this because you just started Liza P.
I just did start Liza P. That's been pretty good so far. And it's treated me good so far. But anyway, Capcom. What did
Capcom
Capcom
being
show us?
Capcom.
I will say there's one thing from Capcom that actually has me really excited.
Capcom's got a
Very
bunch of
excited.
goodies here. The first one that's a
Capcom.
crossover with Xbox is Exo Primal. That's a big Xbox title right now because it's on Game Pass. They're doing their second title update, which is going to have some crazy stories, some really cool new updates to features. There's a really cool game mode they're going to be
Title
doing,
update
Spencer.
2, October 18th. New mission.
It's
Oh yeah.
if you're a fan of extraction game modes, kind of like that game that you and Chris played, or you, Geo, and Chris played, where you have to do the extraction. They're doing a new mode in
Yes.
Exoprimal. It's an extraction where there's hordes of dinosaurs that will keep spawning, and there's a gate that will open, and you and your whole team have to get out of the gate. But you have to time getting out of the gate in time, because if too many people get out of the gate and the gate closes, you might leave your third or fourth teammate behind, and they'll be stuck fighting by themselves the horde of dinosaurs. So if when the gate opens, everybody has to rush to get out. It's fantastic. I love this
That
update.
sounds
It
like a
looks
lot
so
of fun.
good.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I'll have to play.
Team building.
Get back into it when it
Team
comes
building.
out. Nice. It
And
looks
then of
fun.
course,
I see the new map here.
we
That looks pretty
had
cool.
Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6, that's a big one. They
Yeah.
got some new updates coming to Street Fighter 6. They got a new character and some more characters coming on down the line. They're doing multiple updates, so that's going to
Aki.
be really cool.
Aki
Becky,
will have that for
she's a creepy new
nice.
character that's got she's got poison spiky fingernails. They're literally so sharp they're
Nice.
like knives.
Nice.
So she has
I
poison abilities, so that's her main
nice.
ability.
That'll be
She
cool to check
poisons
out.
everybody and then murders them.
I've heard
It's
really good things
terrifying.
about Street Fighter 6. I want to check it out sometime. It's on my
Mhm.
list of things I want to play someday. I'll say it's a great time
Uh,
if you're a fighter fan.
yep. And then of course we
Here's a
had
quick
Dragon's
here's a
Dogma
quick
2.
look
This
at
is the big one for you, buddy.
this. Yeah, hold on, let
This
me pull
looks
that up.
insane. Dragon's
This
Dogma
game looks
2. It's
crazy.
coming. This is a next gen game only. This is not coming to Switch. This is
So
PS5 and Series X and S and PC.
if you want to think about something crazy for this, is the first game came out 11 years
Mhm.
ago.
That's
11 years ago,
wild.
over a decade. And so, arguably, this is a game that's over a decade in the making, right? Now, obviously, I'm not saying they spent 10 years
Capcom's been
programming this
cooking.
game, but they've been obviously they're spending a lot of time on this game, and I think it shows because I think this game looks absolutely incredible with everything they're showing here,
It's like
right? Like, I think,
Skyrim. It's got like the JRPG mechanic of like the 3-person squad. It's got like that JRPG element that a lot of, Japanese studios do. It's got the look and feel of like a Skyrim or even a Diablo in some levels and respects. It's got a little bit of Diablo-esque to it, but more Skyrim, I would say.
yeah,
And then you've got the element of like the Monster Hunter. So that's just Capcom's bread and butter. And they take the Monster Hunter concept and you just pair that all together. That's what this franchise is all about.
yeah, this looks absolutely amazing. It's one of those things where when I saw one of the trailers that they did earlier this year, that looked really good,
Mhm.
or great, I should say, is it made me go, oh, okay, let me go play the first one. So I bought it on Switch because I heard it's a really good Switch port. And so I went and bought it on Switch to play. I haven't gotten into it yet, but I will. But
I'll be
it just looks
playing the
so
first one
good.
as well. I'm going to after seeing this. I'm gonna play the first one.
This
It
one
looks
it
phenomenal.
looks
This
like a great
franchise has
fantasy
potential.
first world. This looks like a great fantasy game, and they're just talking here about the different character options at the beginning, and
Yeah,
just great
kind of like
things.
Dungeons and Dragons. Like the whole classes are very Dungeons and Dragons.
Is there very typical like four different fantasy things, sort of generic fantasy
Yeah,
four, and so it's really great to see having these different sort of
and the
lines that you sort of build
discussions are
towards.
very like
It
BioWare. It's very like
it reminds
KOTOR, the
me.
discussion system.
It reminds me. The classes at least remind me very much kind of more like Skyrim, between how there's those main different
Yeah,
three paths you kind of build towards, and so this reminds me
yeah,
very much like that.
yeah,
And so I'm
yeah.
very
I
much
saw
looking
like
forward to
how you
this.
can like how you can kind of talk to your companions is very much like BioWare and Bethesda, like those games where you really build relationships, or maybe if you say something wrong to the wrong person, it might completely change the way the characters interact. So I'm loving that they took like something that a lot of people love about RPG games, and they pulled that in and made that a big component of it as well. So this game has a lot of potential, and it looks beautiful. And
Yeah, it
the
looks
one cool
amazing.
mechanic I really liked, it's like they took the concept of the Monster Hunter where you're like battling the big boss, what I loved in the trailer for this, they're fighting a troll in the middle of a river. All it took is one guy. There was like a wall blocked with boulders. He took like a barrel of explosives. He hurls it at the wall of rocks, and it blows the rocks open. And a river rushes through, and it takes the troll, and it sweeps him down the river to his death. I was like, "That's amazing!" So it's
That's
like you're
just
not just
great.
battling monsters; you're getting creative with the way you battle the monsters too. It's with the environment. It's like, whoa. I
That's
mean, it's not the
awesome.
first time they've done something like that in a video game, but
No.
it's just something you don't see very often.
I
So
mean,
it
it's
catches your
great
eye.
when you focus on not just what you can do, but also what it's not it's great when it's not
There's
just
no
focused on
one way
character
to defeat a
abilities,
boss.
but
Yeah.
also how you can interact with the world, right? And I feel like sometimes that's something you need, right? Here's the barrel eating part here, like isn't that you're just talking about? Um,
Yeet! Watch
just
him get
brings him out. It's
swept down the
great.
river.
It's great.
He
And
just
so
goes down the river. I love it. I love it.
And so if there's all these different ways that he can be brought take down creatures, right? And then here's one of where he just falls and it makes literally makes a bridge. That's amazing. And so
I saw that. I was like, "You're making a bridge out of your enemy. What?"
if they keep on doing creative things where like enemies and environment interact with that like throughout the entire game, that looks awesome. And so I
This
just
game
hope they
looks
the
like
whole
this.
game
This
pulls
this will
off
be one that'll
pull
stand the
off
test
of
of time if the story is good.
hopefully. Yeah, I
This
mean, it
game
just
could have
depends
staying
on if
power
it
for a
really
long
does
time.
turn out well. It does look great though. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right.
Might be the
So
first
we already
Capcom game in a
did
might be the first
that.
Capcom game in a long while that I actually buy day one. So we'll see, because it does look that good.
Brief mention. Speaking of Monster Hunter is turning 20 years old this year, Spencer.
Oh,
So
it is.
Capcom did a really cool thing. They released a graphic image. I think you can go on either the Monster Hunter social or Capcom's website. They made a special art design of the characters you can play over the course of all the Monster Hunter
Yep.
games in the franchise. And so they have all the characters in a long line that says Monster Hunter 20th anniversary. So if you're a big fan, go download that image, spread it around. It's really beautiful image. I did get a chance to look at that, so that was really cool. Hard to believe Monster Hunter's been around for 20 years now. That was from the Xbox, PS2, and GameCube era, and it's lasted this long. Let's see. Was there anything major else in here? Nope, that's it. All right, let's move on to our other partners here that were doing stuff at Tokyo Game Show. Um, we had Level 5, Koei Tecmo, Sega, and Atlas. Let's see. What do we have here? From Koei Tecmo, there's going to be a new Atelier game coming from the franchise. I always said the people who play the Atelier games are a little interesting, to say the least, because she's a very much one of those like anime waifu characters, just kind of stuck around just because she's an
Yeah.
anime waifu. I've heard good things about the franchise. I hear a lot of the games in the franchise are actually really good in terms of gameplays for RPGs, and as I said, it's very much like Genshin. It's kind of like if you're a big fan of the Genshin Impact games, you might really dig Atelier Rising as well. Or it's not Atelier Rising.
Nice.
That Rising was the last game. This one is Reslariana. Is how you pronounce the name of this game?
Okay.
It's going to be turn-based combat. There's going to be lots of crafting, like you would expect in a lot of RPGs, and a vibrant world to explore. And there's rumors it might be coming to Android and iOS, and down the line there might be a PC and Switch 2 port of this Atelier game.
Interesting.
Um, the next big one from Koei Tecmo is one. This is a game I've been talking to Spencer. I've been blasting Spencer's Discord up about this game. This was a game I saw come out of nowhere from Koei Tecmo the other day. This game comes out next week, Spencer, and it's from a franchise of games
Yeah.
I didn't know existed. It's in Japan, not to be confused with a franchise from the West. I think it's either Europe or
Hmm.
America made a similar name franchise, also called Fate. But there's a JRPG franchise. It started as a graphic novel, which became a anime over in Japan, and then a game franchise starting with the PS2. And they haven't published too many games of the franchise. They put a new one out every few years. I've never heard of this till the other day. But their newest game is called Samurai Remnant, where they go back into the samurai era of Japan. It's set in the Edo era, so if you're a big fan of ancient Japanese culture, Edo era, there's going to be, it's like any other JRPG you generally will play. Uh, you'll be able to pet cats, so if you're into
There you
petting
go.
cats or doing stuff with, I think if I remember correctly, you can actually do stuff with dogs too. You can pet dogs and feed them treats and
There
stuff.
you go.
So it'll be
10 out of
full.
10
If you're a
already.
fan of 10 out of 10 already for pet interaction, if that didn't wet your whistle, you'll be able to play as 7 different groups of 2 characters. So there's 2 different characters you'll play as throughout the main storyline. So I guess I don't know if this is for the whole Fate franchise or just specifically this game. You will have 2 main characters. So there's 7. So there's a total of 14. And then on top of that, they have a class called Servants. Servants is your third character
Nice.
option. They're almost like a bonus multiplier. They have like special abilities and stuff. So you can kind of pick and choose your servant. There's 7 servants. 4 are from the previous 8 games. They're bringing them back for this specific game, and then 3 brand new characters for Samurai Remnant. If you get a chance, please go watch the trailers for this game because the cutscenes alone blew my mind away. They're on such a high level. It reminds me so much, like I was telling Spencer, of like Tears of the Kingdom like level cutscenes and Xenoblade Chronicles. If you've seen any of the cutscenes or played any of those games, Koei Tecmo is doing justice to the JRPG fans out there. The cutscenes are phenomenal. And this game is going to also be available on Switch. That blew my mind away when they said it's coming to Switch, Spencer, because this game looks so
Nice.
beautiful. I was like,
That looks
really? On
interesting.
Switch? I was like, I want to see how it runs on Switch. We'll see.
Probably be a little
Um,
downgraded too graphically, but it'll be interesting to see how it turns out.
I don't know if I'll buy this. I might wait for this to come on sale. But they immediately intrigued me. They spent almost their whole presentation just talking about this game, and the more they talked about it, the more interested I got. So we're gonna
Nice.
move on to level 5. They did a game called Fantasy Life: The Girl Who Steals Time. That's something I think we had seen. It's kind of like a life sim game. We had seen that at I think maybe one of the previous Nintendo Directs or presentations. That was kind of a not very popular one, but some people were interested. The next one is that Deca Police game they did at the Nintendo Direct. Do you remember seeing the Deca Police one?
No, I do
It's
not.
kind of like it's these like characters. They go to
Oh,
like
I'll
a
probably
police.
skip
They're
right back
training to
in.
they're training to become police officers. So they kind of go into a virtual reality world that teaches them how to become cops. And so there's a really cool story where they go into the VR world and are going through these cop scenarios. It's wild. It's crazy. It's like every other JRPG you expect. That one's coming to Switch. There's 2 new games also: Megaton Musashi Wired, as well as an anime-themed soccer game called Inazuma 11 Victory Road. Not really sure about those. We'll have to look into that more. Next presentation was the Sega Atlas one. Um, they're really hyping up for Sega. They're really looking about the new Sonic game. New Sonic game is literally getting ready to come out soon.
It
Oh,
looks
they're really
good.
pumping that. It looks
I want
good.
to
I
get
think
it.
that'll be a fun pick up and play. That's going to be available, I think, on all platforms. Then you have Football Manager 24, which will include, if you're a fan of the Football Manager games, it's going to include the 3 top tiers of Japanese soccer. The Japanese soccer teams will be available for use in Football Manager 24. Then move over to Atlas, and they showed off more from Persona 5 Tactical, which we were talking about earlier. Then you get into 505 Games. They're getting a few new updates for Marvel Puzzle Quest. So if you're a fan of Marvel Puzzle Quest, updates are on the way.
Hmm?
And I guess that's for its 10th anniversary. Is it already 10 years old? Marvel Puzzle Quest? Wow. And then a little bit more with Aiden Chronicles 100 Heroes. That was kind of cool. I saw some stuff from that briefly. Looks interesting. Um, then they showed off Reverse 1999 with the game's voice cast, showing some more gameplay stuff coming up. I guess there's a character named Apple who appears to just be a red apple with a necktie. Interesting. We'll see what that's all
Funny.
about. And that's it from Tokyo Game Show. So, what were the heavy hitters for you that you're looking at maybe uh, taking a look at, Spencer, over the next few months or whatever?
I mean, I'll be honest. The only thing that like really stood out to me was just seeing more on Dragon's Dogma 2. Some of the other
Yeah,
things coming to
that
Game Pass are just
that was huge.
interesting. Like I'm looking forward to Persona 3 coming to Xbox, but I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna be one
February.
I'll be playing right away. But although I think that is a great pickup for Game Pass, Xbox and Game Pass in general, because Persona is one of those franchises I would like to
Yep.
try to get into a little more, but we'll see. Those are just such huge
Yeah.
gaming commitments where I don't know if that's something. Even though I'd like to get into them, I don't know if I actually ever will.
Yeah. It very time consuming, the Persona games.
Yeah.
All of my friends who play Persona are like, "Yeah, I just dumped 150 hours into Persona 4 Golden." I'm like, "What?" Like,
Yeah.
"You're wild." And they're like, "I have so
Yeah.
much fun. I'm playing every day." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I guess that's a commitment." So,
Yeah. That's
everybody I know
true.
who plays the Persona games religiously says they are a blast. So, more power to you. If you love them, play them.
Yeah.
Um,
That's for sure.
like I was telling you, the Fate Samurai Remnant was the big one for me.
It looks interesting.
Looks very interesting. The trailers look phenomenal. The cutscenes they showed in the trailer from Koei Tecmo, that could be their big game of the year, honestly.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they would have done a little bit more advertising for that one, but I'm kind of also glad they kind of kept that game close to the chest because the amount they showed us the other day was insane, dude. They spent like I think it
Hmm.
was like 45 minutes just talking about Fate Samurai. I was like, damn. It was basically like a direct, like a Nintendo Direct just for that game. So that was really cool.
Nice.
I'm glad they really trust that game. They like the direction it's going, so they have the full confidence of the game dev to do it justice. So that's cool. Huge props to Koei Tecmo. Like I said, like I was telling you, I'll get into Dragon's Dogma. I'll play that with you. We'll have some fun. We'll discuss. You're gonna enjoy it.
Absolutely.
All right, what's our next
Absolutely.
one? What are we diving
Next
into?
we have just some extras that we just want to just quick fire through really
Quick
quick, I
heavy
suppose.
hitters. Yep.
Quick things that we just want to mention, right?
Yep.
Not delve into them too much. There's rumors that supposedly Gearbox's the developer behind the Borderlands series is up for sale. Who knows who'll
Do you
get
have
them,
it
but
queued
who
up?
knows?
Do you have it queued up?
Oh,
You have the sound queued up?
no, I'm sorry. But
Shut the
yeah.
F up, Steve.
Anyway, but yeah, supposedly they're up for sale in this time of lots of
It's a sad day.
acquisitions.
It's a sad day for
Also,
Gearbox.
on the same day as the Nintendo Direct, PlayStation had their version of a Nintendo Direct called State
They
of Play.
had to overshadow Nintendo.
Well, I wouldn't say
You're
they
like, okay,
overshadowed, but
Nintendo,
they had a
you
couple
did your
big things too.
presentation.
And
Now the
so
big boys come.
and they had a couple really big trailers that I want to highlight because these are both games I'm really
Yeah,
looking forward to. One of them is
huge games.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which looks absolutely amazing. You get to play as
That
Sephiroth.
I watched
They're
that
bringing in a huge
yesterday.
open world. It looks
Holy
crazy.
crap!
This game
That
looks
game
absolutely
looks
crazy.
so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
It looks absolutely great. I really want to get
It's
into it. I can't wait.
wild. It's wild.
And so,
Um,
yeah, there's that. It
yeah.
looks absolutely, and some of these mini games. Hold on, let me try to find it here. But there's
Oh
this
yeah,
one
the
point where
mini
they show all
games.
these different mini games. Here we go. There's all these
Which I
different
think
mini
somebody
games
said
that
those
they
mini
show
games
here.
were in the original game. They're just
Look,
like
it's
new
like a
versions of the old mini
Mario
game.
Kart Chocobo race, little like boxing thing.
Yeah,
It looks like so
yeah.
fun. I'm really looking forward to this.
Right.
I played some of the new, was it Final Fantasy VII remake? I want to
Yeah,
really beat it before Spider-Man 2. And
yeah.
so that's one of my goals, and to get ready for this because this looks absolutely amazing. Cannot wait.
Hmm.
Speaking of
All
Spider-Man
right.
2, they also did show Spider-Man 2.
Yeah,
We got
nah, nah, nah,
we
nah,
got
nah,
some
nah,
more
nah.
looks at Spider-Man 2, which looks, I mean, it's more Spider-Man 2. We got to see a
Cinemaized
bit of the map
Spider-Man.
here. We got to see a look at the map here.
The map, they
Um,
doubled the map. You're going over to Brooklyn and Queens,
yeah, they
and
show the map right here. So the map is With the
It's
water, it
big.
seems like it's doubled, but it includes like the big like river there.
Mhm.
But
And
they
it's
add
not
like a
all
whole
of like
other section to the
Brooklyn.
side
It's like
here.
only a portion of the actual borough. You're not really getting the whole
It's
borough.
it's gonna be. I mean, it still expands the map a lot, right? Because this is
Yeah,
this
it
area to the
does.
left here is what you can only play in the base game, so it still expands it by. It seems like eyeing it seems to be like a little over half of what you got in the base game.
Yeah.
Just about roughly half, and so it's great to see that. And plus they show a bit of like the new gliding mechanics here, and
Yeah, that
that's a
was
way
I
to help
really
you get
enjoyed
around
that.
quicker. It looks a lot.
And
It looks like a lot of fun.
a gajillion
Um,
new suits.
they are showing that instead now you get different colorings with each of the suits.
Very
That's something that stood
customizable.
out to me.
Yeah.
Um, something big that stood out to me is that that's a Mysterio symbol right there, guys.
Whoa. What could that
Mysterio
mean?
symbol. What's really cool is there's some big notable villains in the first game that was like side quest objective sort of characters, and
Hmm.
so in this one they're having Mysterio, which you can see Mysterio right there. I didn't even realize this was
Hmm.
Mysterio at first,
Oh,
but Mysterio is kind of like the big main side villain in a way it seems like. So
yeah.
if you played the Batman Arkham games, kind of like the Riddler of this game.
The
And so
Riddler, yeah.
that's going to be exciting. And so, and then what's also really cool is that they show that you can switch. I don't remember exactly where it is,
You like
but
switch
they
on the
show you
fly
can.
between Peter and Miles?
You can. I was trying to find exactly where that is, but
Yeah,
you
it's
can
kind of
literally
cool.
switch in between the two with the press of a button.
It felt
So
very
whenever you
GTA
freely
5.
when you can so you can just freely go around and in the open world and just play as whichever one you want. The only time when you're restricted is during certain story segments, and
Hmm.
so it lets you great. Here's where they're showing all the different suits. There's these different suits, and then each suit will have the different coloring options, and
Yep.
so that's really cool to see. They said there's 65 total different suits in the
It's
game.
wild because there
I don't
was
know if it
probably.
includes. I
Is
don't
it
know if
all
it
the same
includes
suits from the
the
first
DLC
game?
deluxe. I don't see why they wouldn't bring those back.
Yeah.
Plus
Maybe
more,
it's just
right?
like
Plus you're getting the
it's like
symbiote suit.
because I would think when they did the new remaster for PS5, did they take the old suits and like upgrade the graphics on all the suits a little bit more? Or were they pretty much the same suits?
I didn't play, so I don't know.
Okay, so you don't know in terms of that one. Okay.
I know overall it did get a
So
graphical
if you're a
overhaul, so I would imagine
Spider-Man
it's something like
fan,
that.
let us know if you bought the PS5 upgrade. Let us know how the graphics, how did they jump up severely? Did they jump up just a little bit?
Yeah.
Because that might give us a better idea, like how the suits are gonna look for this game as well.
Yeah, and so yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game. I can't wait for it, and
Hmm.
it's also announced that it's gone gold for its October 20th launch, officially under a
Which
month away
means
from
it
it.
is done. It is done. It's in the bag. It is ready to be played. That's
Yep.
exactly what it means. So,
Yep. Just yep.
Spencer, it's ready. It's ready for you. Are
Can't
you
wait. I
ready?
can't wait. Just need to beat the Final Fantasy 7 because I want to play through that before, so I don't have to.
I don't know
Because in
how
order to make
that's
room
gonna be
for
so hard,
Spider-Man,
but you'll do it. You'll do it.
it's not that long of a game. It seems like so. I really want to beat it and like just so I don't have to like re-download it later because that'll be the easiest game for me to delete right now. So it's kind of like my motivation to like play through it before.
So I work overnight, so I normally sleep during the day. So normally I talk to Spencer around like the evenings and nighttime before I go to work. So I'll wake up like every day during the like September and early October, and I'll probably like video chat Spencer and be like, Spencer, what are you doing? He'll have his eyes taped open, like, I'm playing Final Fantasy. I gotta beat it before Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I'm planning on getting back into it
No,
soon. One I
I
played
will
on there I
help
really
you.
enjoyed.
I will help you, buddy.
You'll
I
help
will
me.
help you push yourself to Spider-Man. I will.
But
I will
anyway,
be your cheerleader.
yes. And there's one other story left here. Official
Yep,
little
yep.
news thing from EA. This hits home a little more
This is
for
big,
you, I
big.
believe. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead
this
and
is definitely
quickly
bigger for
talk
me.
about it.
Alright, so
Go
Criterion
ahead with it.
Games is going to be joining EA. They're going to be working on the Battlefield series and continue to work on the next Need for Speed. On the Battlefield side of things, I'm assuming this is along those comments we had talked about a while back. You remember when I went into my Battlefield rant a few weeks back?
Yes.
And how I was just kind of like, The fuck are you doing, EA? Now that I'm hearing Criterion is on board, I'm like, okay, I'm good.
They work alongside Dice, Ripple Effect, and Ridgeline. So it'll be
So
interesting to
this
see.
makes me wonder if they're just doing a feature, because normally when you hear about these other EA studios, what they're doing is they're subdividing certain parts of the game. So one
Yeah.
studio will work on one part of Battlefield. Like I think there was like maybe they did Portal, like one studio did just the Portal stuff, one studio did like multiplayer, one studio did this. So I think Criterion, I don't know exactly what they're gonna do, but they'll have considerable amount of control on the direction of what they're doing. And I'm glad EA is partnering with them. This is definitely a step in a good direction for maybe a new direction for the franchise, but not depart so far away from what I thought might happen. So I'm happy. I can't wait to see what we're gonna get out of this in a few years. It's gonna take several years before we hear updates on what's coming down the pipe. In terms of Need for Speed, I don't know, have you been a Need for Speed player in the last few years? Like, how do you feel about this?
I don't really play. No, I don't know. I haven't really
See, I
played
haven't either, so I don't really have a
any.
lot of comments on this one.
I want to play
I'm more than
Unbound,
willing to
especially now
play.
that it's on Game
Yeah,
Pass, because it looks like a fun game. I had it downloaded and I just haven't played it because
that's
there's so
right.
much
It's
other
on
stuff to play.
EA Play. EA Play. Yeah,
And so I just haven't gotten around to playing it because it's kind of like it's a game I'd like to play, but it's like pretty far back in my backlog.
and there's
So,
so many
but
like in the last 10 years they
there's
put
just
out
so
so
many
many new
games.
Need for Speeds. So there's
Yeah,
so many
there's a
Need for
lot.
Speeds to catch up on.
There's a lot, but yeah,
I'm
but yeah,
interested to see what they do with Need for Speed. They could take something, take it in a really cool direction.
we'll
I have
see. We'll
faith.
see. We'll
They will either
see.
do very, very well, or they will crash and burn. We shall see.
We shall see. And that wraps up all of our news stories here. Is there any final
Yes. Yes,
thoughts at
teacher.
all?
Yes, teacher. I have a
Yes,
final thought.
yes, yeah.
Donate. Donate to this
Absolutely, as
charity
we
because
iterated
this is,
earlier.
or if you cannot donate even a single dollar, just take the link below in the description and just share it over your social, share it with your friends, get the word out so we can help these kids worldwide. Even if it's just a few dollars, literally like the cost of less than a cup of coffee, what you're spending at Starbucks. You guys do not understand the level of amazing support that these kids are getting. Um, we talk about this almost every month of the year, um, and I know it's really emotional for us to talk about now, especially for me and Spencer now, because we've been friends with Chris for so long. We just started off. We were like, yeah, we're happy to support, and now that we've like seen the work that this money is doing, it hits a lot closer to home now for me and Spencer and Geo as well. So, um, every little bit really does help. So if you guys can spare just enough for a cup of coffee, um, just to support these kids, it would mean the world to us. It really does. So please support FMF and AID for this mission for Chris and all those kids. Please, please, please spread the word.
Absolutely, I second
That's it.
absolutely all of that. Just a quick other thing that I want to shout out to is there's a brand new series out on our YouTube as well, titled
There is.
VR Voyages right here.
Came out the
So
day we
go
recorded
check
this.
out.
Yeah.
Yes. And so check out this series. Here you can see a little bit of it here where I'm playing through a brand new game on the VR.
I started to watch it.
Which
Your recording looked phenomenal for VR, and I will be
this
finishing it.
is
So
I will
yeah.
say I am very pleased with how well this turned out because I was looking through all the different options of how to record this, and this is
Mm-hmm.
directly from the Meta Quest or Oculus Quest, is what it was
Yep.
previously called, recording software, and I'm surprised how well it turned out overall.
Yep.
In regards to both the audio and visually here. Not to say that it didn't have its times to where it didn't,
Yeah.
but like overall, I'm very pleased with it, and so
Mm-hmm.
keep an eye out for more uh VR gaming videos, as this is
Yeah.
what is hopefully the first of many of VR voyages.
And as of this afternoon of us recording this podcast, you put this up on social, and the game devs have officially retweeted your video. So,
That's true.
uh, so please, please, please go share his video on social, get it out there, because now the devs have seen it and they're
Get it out
sharing
there.
it. They're loving Spencer's
Get it
content.
out
I'm
there.
loving this. Get it
Get it
out there.
out there. Get it out there. Take a look at this new VR Voyages
Um,
series, and stay tuned for what other
yeah.
gaming series we are working on, and other pieces of content that we are actively working on.
hmm
As always, here
Lots
on
of
Red
stuff
Shirts,
coming.
as we
Lots of
have
content.
plenty of ideas of what we want to do and want to try out different things. So stay tuned and
Um,
all that. And as always, you can find my solo adventuring. Well, I say solo adventuring, although there's a lot of group stuff with it too. With over on Dingus Den, um,
mhm.
just something else to put out there. Still, is all my gaming content is going to be here on Red
Yep.
Shirts Remastered, and so this is the
Yep.
first of many of how I'm going to be approaching some gaming content. And
Yep.
so keep an eye out for more gaming content to come from me, and also the others will be looking into putting on their own stuff too. So keep an eye out,
hmm
and yeah, I will
Yeah.
see you
And
all later.
we actually have another announcement. I think we can make tonight
Yeah,
safely by the time this comes out. Spencer has officially invited me onto the very next episode of his comic club. So I'm very excited. I will be on there
that
with
is
you. I'm really happy. Thank you for the invite, brother.
so that is the next recording. We'll just I'm not going to reveal what the story is yet. I do have a
Yeah,
comic
we
club
won't
coming.
reveal.
Hopefully, I have a comic club coming out. Hopefully within very shortly after this episode's released.
Yeah. So
And
we're
that's
gonna be.
going to
It's not the
be
next episode. It's the
not the
following
next one,
episode that I'll
but the
be on.
following episode, and it's I'll just say it is a very fitting comic for the month of October, so it'll be
It's great.
very fun to
It's a
get
great
into.
pick. So thank you for picking that one because I
Absolutely,
cannot wait to discuss that one with you because I
can't
have
wait.
read that one. You're the whole reason I read that comic, so I can't wait to go back and reread it and talk about it with you because it's
Absolutely,
a really deep comic in a lot of ways.
it's one of those I'm very excited to get into. So, but yeah, yeah, lots of
That was the
exciting stuff to
comic.
come
That
here in
was the
Dingistan.
comic that Spencer got me back into comics with. So
Was it that one?
thanks,
That's
you
pretty cool, actually.
dingus. Thanks, you
All right,
dingus.
but anyway, yeah, stay tuned for that conversation. And yeah, got lots of fun stuff. But yeah, I'll see you all next time here on Red Shirts Remastered after you share that link right below. See
Yep.
you all
Bye,
later.
guys.
Bye.